The sky is cracking, and extraterrestrial artifacts descend on the land of China, opening the prelude to the Three Kingdoms of Gaowu. Zhang Jiao learned to summon wind and rain, and to control thunder. Liu Bei comprehended the male and female double-stranded swordsmanship. The red rabbit horse molted into a dragon horse with a single blow from Guan Yu. He split the ground 10 miles. Dian Wei's punch can shatter the mountains. Wushuang mows the grass. Lu Jing traveled through time and became a small follower of the Five Dou Rice Cult in Hanzhong. Despite facing turbulent times, his life was like a blade of grass. In order to save his life, he began to climb up desperately. Practice martial arts, learn Taoism, and dominate the martial arts world. To hold a high position, wield great power, and look down upon the common people. 10-side hero, not a world-renowned general, so what? This world is up to me. Keywords of the novel. Gaowu Three Kingdoms. Starting from Wudoumi cult without pop-ups, Gaowu Three Kingdoms. Starting from Wudoumi cult, download the complete text, Gaowu Three Kingdoms. Starting from Wudoumi cult, read the latest chapters. Chapter 1. Murder. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Murder. Lu Jing looked up at the sky. At this time, it was late at night, and the watchman of Mianxian had just knocked on the bangs of the third night shift and shouted a few times, "The sky is dry and the things are dry." He was standing in the dense forest on the mountain, and through the lush branches and leaves, he could see the bright moon hanging high above his head, without wind or clouds. But above that boundless night, amidst the countless stars, there is a huge, black crack that runs through things. Like an open giant eye, overlooking sentient beings, the interior is as deep as an abyss. Lu Jing stared intently at the crack in the sky, his eyes unblinking. "Haven't you come yet? Someone beside me can't hold on anymore." "No." Lu Jing then withdrew his gaze, rubbed his dry eyes, and made a respectful expression. He turned his head and carefully said to a wealthy young master beside him, "Young master, may I have miscalculated? We've been waiting for an hour now." Fart. The young master had a hot temper. Upon hearing this, he kicked him and angrily pointed at his nose, cursing loudly, "This is the direction that my father spent 100 gold coins to obtain from the Lord of Sacrifice. The Lord of Sacrifice has an unpredictable cultivation and is proficient in the art of divination and divination. He will never be wrong. Even if he is just a waste, he will definitely fall. Dare to disrespect the Lord of Sacrifice, applaud." Lu Jing stumbled and fell. Puzzy. On the other side of the young master, there was also a servant standing with sharp tongues and monkey cheeks. At this moment, he couldn't help but laugh, tilted his triangular eyes, and gloated, saying, "How could you ask such a foolish question? How about discussing the offering of wine? Do you need me to help you?" Lu Jing ignored him, and as soon as he received a clear answer, without saying a word, he started to slap himself with a smile. At the same time, keep an account of these two sons in their hearts. Dog day, wait, pop 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 pop. Lu Jing slapped himself 3 times and his face was swollen. The corner of the servant's eyes twitched as he watched him chuckle. He thought to himself that this foolish kid is really cunning. He was so ruthless when he started, all right. The young master impatiently stopped him when he saw that his face was swollen. "Keep watching. There may be a mistake in the time and location, but it won't go anywhere wrong either. This is an extraordinary treasure. You can't miss it." "Yes." Lu Jing was full of anger, with an honest and obedient appearance. After being beaten, he seemed completely unaffected and continued to stare at the crack with his head up, his expression visibly serious. He was called here to do this. The other two relaxed and the young master sat on a nearby green stone waiting, with sharp-mouthed servants serving both wine and meat. These two people rested and left Lu Jing to work alone. Lu Jing turned a blind eye and just looked at the sky. "I have been in this world for a month now." What surprised him the most was the huge crack in the sky, which everyone here called the Eye of Heaven. It changed history. Also changed the world. In the first year of Gengshi, 23 AD, the Battle of Kunyang broke out, and Lu Xiu defended Kunyang with 20,000 troops against Wang Mang's 400,000 strong army. At the moment of being stuck together, suddenly the sky shattered and a line of abyss appeared, shaped like a giant eye. A meteorite shot out of its eye, hitting the Kunyang battlefield and entering Wang Mang's army. 90% of the soldiers died suddenly, and there was no one left in the 400,000 strong army. The morale of the defending army was greatly boosted. Lu Xiu was passionate and led his troops out of the city to confront the enemy, completely annihilating the bandits. From then on, he became famous in one battle and became well known throughout the world. And after the reign of Emperor Wu, he established the country and pioneered Zhongxing. People say that Lu Xiu has the ability to summon wind and rain, and the power of supernatural beings, so that he can receive help from heaven. This is certainly nonsense. But after the Battle of Kunyang, Lu Xiu obtained the meteorite and found that it was engraved with a divine pattern that allowed him to observe the Tao and manipulate the vitality of heaven and earth through secret techniques. Lu Xiu named this stone the Heavenly Book Steel and created martial arts and secret techniques with the help of the top-notch Enlightenment observation steel, opening the way for martial arts and Taoism in the world, and also leading the world to a fork in the road. From then on, from time to time, extraterrestrial meteors fall into the eyes of Tianji, as if connecting to a fairyland outside the world. There are constantly extraterrestrial treasures similar to the Heavenly Book Steel that pass through the eyes and fall into the land of Shenzhou. The art style of this world is becoming increasingly mysterious. Those exotic treasures come in all shapes and sizes. There are positive, evil, usable, and unusable, as well as natural and earthly treasures, as well as miraculous medicines and exotic foreign objects. Nearly 200 years have passed in a blink of an eye. Now, at the end of the Han dynasty, after the reign of Emperor Huanling, the Han dynasty declined, and the two emperors did not become successful. The progress of the emperor's secret martial arts was slow, and he lacked intelligence to stabilize the court, resulting in the dictatorship of external relatives and eunuchs, making it difficult for the people to make a living. Great and virtuous teacher Zhang Jiao led millions of troops from Taiping Road to rebel against the Han dynasty, and from then on, warlords rose up and wars broke out frequently. Today, it is already the summer of the 15th year of Jianan. A year ago, Cao Cao suffered a defeat in the Red Cliff. Zhuge Kongming sacrificed himself to the wind, Zhou Yu set fire to it, and burned down Cao Cao's army in disarray. The pattern of the three kingdoms standing together has faintly begun to show signs. In times of chaos, human life is like grass. When Lu Jing first arrived, he was startled, but fortunately the place he traveled through was not bad. Hanzhong, the gateway to Sichuan and Sichuan. Now, under the control of the third-generation Heavenly Master Zhang Lu, the Five Dou Rice Cult, also known as the Heavenly Master Dao, was promoted. He managed Hanzhong using the method of managing religion, without setting up officials, and using the sacrificial wine of the cult to manage local affairs. The policies were relatively lenient, and before Cao Cao's invasion, it was considered one of the few stable places in turbulent times. The person wearing it has a very low status. In Hanzhong, Mian County, Li Quan, the young master of Li Zhuang, was a close attendant, or slave, who was a character who could easily fight, curse, or die without reporting to an official. I don't even have a formal name, my surname is Lu Xinger, so I'm called Lu Er. Today, Li Quan's father, Li Yu, the head of Li Zhuang, spent a lot of money to buy a rough location of an extraterrestrial treasure from Mian County's sacrificial wine, and asked his son to secretly retrieve it. If he encounters a good product, then luck will turn. Li Quan was very obedient and quietly brought 2 followers to Woniu Mountain late at night, waiting for the exotic treasure to land. With the increasing frequency of extraterrestrial treasures, in recent years, there is also an increasing amount of waste. Even if there is stock available, it is usually low-grade and worn out. At the level of the Heavenly Master Dao sacrificial wine, there is no longer much interest in this thing. Nowadays, unlike the Guan Yu era, when extraterrestrial treasures were still very rare, each one was an earth-shattering treasure. For example, Zhang Ling, the first heavenly master of the celestial master Dao, was able to master the ultimate skill, Five Thunder Heavenly Heart technique, by obtaining the extraterrestrial treasure, Five Thunder Heavenly Master Order. He can wield Thunder to summon the 9 heavenly thunder lower realm. There are even rumors in the religion that his elderly family has already risen by the day and transformed into immortals. That's what it's called, exotic treasure. There hasn't been much worth running errands on in recent years, otherwise the Lord of the Sacrifice would have taken it himself long ago. The reason why he's so generous is simply because he has picked up too much junk before. Here we go. Suddenly, Lu Jing's eyes lit up and he saw a small meteor falling from Tianji's eyes, shooting straight towards Guan Yu mountain. The calculation is quite accurate. Where is it? Where is it? Li Quan jumped off the stone excitedly and looked up. Wang Gang, the lackey beside him, also showed a joyful expression. He didn't take it seriously and thought it was mostly junk goods. He flattered and said, Master Zhang Jiao indeed has a clever plan. Young master has obtained this precious treasure, like a dragon riding on clouds and a tiger riding on the wind. It's just around the corner. Li Quan listened intently and tried to suppress the joyful expression on his face. He pretended to be angry and said, You're the only one who can speak. If it's a waste, I want you to look good. Wang Gang's face turned bitter and he quickly said, No, the Lord of the Sacrifice wine said it's a treasure. That small meteor streaked across the sky, falling rapidly. The 3 of them all cheered up, but their targets were different. Li Quan and Wang Gang focused their attention on the approaching meteor, excited. Lu Jing looked at the necks of the 2 and was extremely excited. You have beaten and scolded me so many times this month, treating me like a dog. I have a large number of people, so I won't attack your family. Use your own dog's life to compensate. He quietly touched behind his waist. A sharp dagger was faintly visible. Boom. Meteors fall to the ground, creating deep pits and flying sand and rocks. Master Zhang Jiao's technique is profound. Although the time is 1 hour wrong, the location is accurate. Hurry up. Guard around, I want to verify the treasure immediately. Li Quan shouted and ran quickly over. Wang Gang followed closely behind and didn't forget to say arrogantly to Lu Jingji before running, Keep watch. If something happens, I want you to look good. Then follow along with a bumpy butt. Lu Jing nodded and bowed, cautious, remaining in place with only those cold eyes. The extraterrestrial treasure this time is not big, and the impact crater is also very small. Li Quan quickly ran to the edge of the pit and jumped down, discovering a tightly closed clam shell in the center of the pit. Li Quan picked it up in surprise, feeling strange in his heart. What kind of clam is this? Falling from such a high sky, it was surprisingly intact, with a surface shimmering with precious light and runes, shining brightly in the dark night. Young master. Treasure. Wang Gang looked excitedly at the clam shell in Li Quan's hand and said, A month ago, Shijun, Zhang Lu, got a precious clam on the Motionling mountain and opened a pearl from it. After taking it, his power greatly increased, and he even gave it a special name. Fulling Pearl. Li Quan suddenly realized and looked at the clam shell in his hand with surprise. Is this also a fulling clam? Master, this object is not inferior to the 6th grade. Great. My meridians are blocked in my body, making it difficult to cultivate. This precious pearl can wash the meridians and cut off the marrow, which is right in my heart. Quick. Open it. Li Quan pulled out his long sword from his waist and asked Wang Gang to hold on to the clam shell. He raised his sword and inserted it into the gap, trying to pry it open. Li Quan said loudly, Hold on. Wang Gang squatted on the ground and stood the clam shell on a stone, holding it firmly. With an excited expression on his face, he said, "Okay, young master, you can." Pushi, bang. Suddenly, there was a muffled sound, like the sound of a sharp weapon entering the flesh, followed by a strange noise, followed by the sound of gold and stone from the sword falling. The long sword fell in front of me. Wang Gang was taken aback and quickly looked up. He saw Li Quan with wide eyes, tilted back, bleeding from the corner of his mouth, and his face full of disbelief. Behind him stood Lu Jing, who had always been honest, and foolish. At this moment, his expression was cold. A dagger was inserted into Li Quan's neck, and blood splattered all over his face. However, he didn't care at all. He grabbed Li Quan's hair and stabbed him several times before throwing away the body. He wiped his face expressionlessly and then looked at Wang Gang indifferently. Ah! Wang Gang was already scared out of his wits, shouting in terror. This bloody scene frightened his brain and he immediately urinated. His face turned pale, he leaned back, his legs kept bouncing, and he exclaimed in shock. You. How dare you? It's been a month now. Do you know how difficult it is to be a jerk who can't fight back or curse back? Do you know how many times I've thought about killing you, said Lu Jingman with a relaxed smile on his bloody face during speech. He bent down and picked up his long sword, walking towards Wang Gang. Wang Gang felt his hair stand on end, which scared him out of his wits. He screamed out loud, "No! No! No! I want to thank Hanzhong for being stable for more than a decade without any signs of chaos. I want to thank Li Quan for being a fool and not being defensive. I want to thank him for not knowing martial arts, and I want to thank you even more. Tonight's action has brought me along." Lu Jing chuckled and said, "After all, you can also command me with the servants of Li Zhuang. It's related to exotic treasures outside the world, so we can't leave Ruth with any news. If it were really a treasure, Li Quan would not have any martial arts skills. Bringing a guard with martial arts skills would inevitably create a desire for it and make things worse. We need to find two skinny and timid people to fight, and Li Quan can handle them. Wang Gang is timid and afraid of things. Both Lu and Er are occupied. These two people are usually servants who serve in daily life, so it is most suitable for them to do this." Li Quan didn't expect that the timid and foolish Lu Er had already changed his mind. Not only was he not timid, but he was also bold and ruthless. "You can't kill me." As Lu Jing approached closer and closer, his sword edge was icy cold, and at a critical moment of life and death, Wang Gang suddenly realized, this is Hanzhong. This is the heavenly master Dao. If you kill someone, neither Lord Jiao nor Lord Li will spare you. He. Lu Jingshao said, "I even killed Li Quan, but I still care about giving you another useless person. As for the future, you don't have to worry about it." The words fell. Lu Jing wielded a sword and the owl's head rolled down. Then, he quickly picked up the clam shell and disappeared into the darkness, leaving only two corpses in place, bleeding profusely. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Changing Faces. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Changing Faces. After killing someone, Lu Jingfei quickly descended the mountain. He did not directly return to Mian County, nor was he in a hurry to open a clan. Instead, he walked north along the Han River at the foot of the mountain for 5 miles and arrived at Jinyo Road. The Han River runs through Mian County from west to east, and there is an ancient road from Hanzhong to the hinterland of Sichuan and Sichuan, which is this Jinyo Road. The Jinyo Ancient Road has a total length of about 2,000 miles, with mountains and rivers covering it. The boardwalk is connected, and the ravines are crisscrossing, winding and rugged, making it the most perilous. This road is necessary for both leaving and entering Sichuan, with a huge flow of people. Moreover, due to the rugged and winding mountain road, it is easy to hide. Over time, some nodes on this Golden Bull Road have been occupied by merchants, providing convenience for passing merchants. Some goods can be sold openly, and the heavenly master Tao is not overly concerned. However, some are strictly prohibited evil and crooked ways, which are deeply despised by the members of the heavenly master Tao sect. For example, the southern barbarian Jiao Cave Abyss. Jiao Cave is a powerful force or sect within the southern barbarian tribe, specializing in the study of poison and gu techniques. Its style is completely different from that of the Central Plains, and it combines various cunning and killing techniques. It is cruel and inhumane, and is hated by people. But even the major sects of the Central Plains aristocratic families have to admit that some of their secret techniques and medicines are indeed convenient and desirable, so they are repeatedly banned. Mian County is adjacent to one of the trade nodes. Huadeng Temple. Taoism flourished in Hanzhong, and the heavenly master Taoism was both a religion and a political power. Buddhist temples had few footholds, so some dishonest monks in the temples had to find another way out for themselves. Reselling some prohibited items and profiting from them. Lu Jing had already found a way out for himself. The first step is to change your face, and the simplest and most brutal way to do so is to use a gu insect called face gu from the blissful cave. Lu Jing arrived at the back door of Huadeng Temple, stood in front of the mountain gate, grabbed the copper ring, knocked 3 times, paused for 2 breaths, knocked 4 times, and then lightly tapped 5 times with his fingers. Soon, footsteps could be heard inside. Someone said, "What happened to your late-night visit, benefactor?" Lu Jingdao said, "Ding Bugu, Shibuxiao, Wang Buli, the crime is not wrong." The person replied, "No division, no white soap, no crossing, no mouth." With a creak, the mountain gate opened a crack, and a young monk carefully poked his head out and whispered, "What do you want?" Lu Jing wiped his face. The monk glanced at him and saw that he was dressed in rags. He frowned and said, "It's very expensive." Lu Jing smiled and pulled out a gold bar from his arms, saying, "Add another EP1-10 to your new outfit. It doesn't need to be too good, but it must be clean and odorless." "Okay." The monk's eyes lit up, he said wait a moment, then ran away, and when he returned, he brought back a face gu pill, a bottle of medicine, and a clean cloth jacket. The monk said, "These are clothes that have just been washed, and there is also the fragrance of soap pods. What do you think?" Lu nodded and said, "Sure. Pay with one hand and deliver with the other." Lu Jing turned around and left. The monk looked at his back and felt strange in his heart. This person is dressed in rags and looks like a servant, but he speaks and walks with more magnanimity than his master, confident and proud. Strange things. The monk muttered, put away the gold bars and carefully closed the door. After buying the necessary items, Lu Jing chose a deserted mountain ditch nearby and hid in one of the caves. Looking at the pile of things he had bought, he deeply sighed and said, "Just exchange a gold bar for so little. If you steal less, you should steal a few more. Li Quan, that fool, probably won't believe it to the death. I have taken him away from his father's small treasury. He. Let's treat it as a month's wages." Lu Jing looked at the face gu pill. This thing looks inconspicuous, but it is made up of 300 face bugs the size of lice. It only needs to be dissolved in alcohol and then placed in the nasal cavity. They will enter the body on their own and feed on the facial bones, thus changing their appearance. It's simple to say, but the whole process is extremely painful and the final changes are unpredictable. Maybe the public face, or maybe even uglier. This thing is a powerful weapon for some Jianghu thieves to avoid being wanted. After changing their faces, if they casually hide in the refugee pile, they will become another person. Lu Jing doesn't care about his appearance. What he yearns for is martial arts and power. Born in a chaotic world, he should bravely stand at the forefront. I came to this world not to suffer, not only to live long, but also to live well. Dare to block my way. Li Quan is the end. First, change your face, then blend into the refugee pile, learn the heavenly master's way, learn martial arts, climb up, and then wait for Boss Cao to attack Hanzhong and sell yourself for a good price. In history, Cao Cao treated Zhang Lu very well. He was appointed as the general of Zhennan, conferred the title of Marquis of Langzhong, and 8,000 of households in the city. His 5 sons were all appointed as marquises, and even his trusted subordinates held official positions. Lu Jing summed up that Cao Cao was defeated in the Battle of Red Cliff, and it is estimated that he will soon make room to deal with Zhang Lu. At best, there are still 1 or 2 years left. During this period, try to climb up as much as possible. When we climb the big tree of Chao Wei, the sky will be high and birds will fly, while the sea will be wide and fish will leap. Upon realizing this, Lu Jing no longer hesitated. He took off the wine gourd from his waist and dripped it onto his face goo. Before it melted, he placed the goo pill on the tip of his nose. The face of goo dissolves. The rustling insects swarmed into their noses. Ah! A wave of excruciating pain hits. The face goo crazily gnawed at the flesh and bones, like needles piercing one by one. Lu Jingtong's cold sweat flowed, and his body couldn't help but tremble with spasms. He grabbed the new clothes and put them in his mouth, biting them hard, and his arms were bulging with veins. This lasted for almost 15 minutes before the pain gradually subsided. Lu Jing was already in a cold sweat all over, as if he had just been pulled out of the water. He weakly took out his bronze mirror and raised his eyebrows slightly, smiled, and gasped heavily, "It's actually pretty good." Rare. The young man in the mirror, 17 or 18 years old, with delicate eyebrows and eyes, handsome. He looked much better than before, and no one could compare the fair and delicate young man in front of him to the skinny and yellow-faced servant before him. Just a bit weak. Lu Jing took out the Yuan pill and took it. It was a medicine used to strengthen the foundation and nourish the body of the warrior after his recovery. It was very nourishing and greatly beneficial to his thin and weak body. His face gradually improved, and his body gradually gained strength. From inside out, there was no more part of him that resembled Lu Er. From now on, I am Lu Jing. It seems that all the characters in the Three Kingdoms have their own characters, so I, the character, Dongting. After everything was over, Lu Jing looked at the last thing. The celestial treasure, the shimmering clam shell. Is there still a rune engraved on the outside of the fulling clam? This thing looks extraordinary no matter how it looks. Lu Jing frowned and thought for a while, but still had no clue. There was nothing he could do. Li Quan was a waste, and Lu Jing followed him. Even if he had the intention to steal knowledge, he had no channels and knew nothing about these things. After hesitating for a moment, Lu Jing still took out the dagger, inserted it slightly into the gap of the clam shell, and then forcefully pried it. Click. The clam shell was split in half, unexpectedly without pearls or even clam meat inside, but with an eye hanging in the center. Human eyes. Lu Jing was startled and retreated in surprise. Just as he was surprised, the eyeballs suddenly turned into a stream of light and entered his right eye, merging with him. Ah! Painful cries spread from the cave. A group of night owls were startled to fly. At the same time, on Mount Wenyo, Li Yu, the head of Li Zhuang in Mian County, and several highly skilled guards were standing at the location where the meteorite landed, watching the 2 corpses on the ground. Li Quan and Wang Gang. He was stabbed several times in the neck. One just lost his head. Li Yu looked at his son's body with blood-red eyes and a murderous intent. He paused word by word and said, "It's Lu Er. It should be him." After examining the wounds on the corpse, the head of the courtyard solemnly said, "The injuries on the young master's body are not caused by true qi damage, unlike those done by someone who knows martial arts. The injuries are on the neck, and the attack from behind is more like that of a close person, so. Li Yu. Notify Fan Jijiu that even if he is punished according to the heavenly master Dao, killing someone should still pay for his life. The head of the nursing home said, "Yes." Li Yu. "Did the mastiff bring it?" "He's an ordinary person who hasn't practiced martial arts." "How far can he run?" "Follow me." Guardian leader. "Yes." Quickly, the servants brought 5 mastiff dogs used for hunting bears in the village, each well-trained and guided by the clothing of Lu'er. The 5 mastiff dogs rushed out together, upstream along the Han River, and headed straight for Huadeng Temple. The guards are highly skilled in martial arts and have excellent lightness skills. They fly over the eaves and walls one by one, closely following the mastiff dog. Li Yu was also a master himself. He followed with his sword and saw the mastiff chasing after Huadeng Temple. Just as he was about to kill him, he saw 5 mastiff dogs suddenly turn their heads and charge towards the wilderness, entering a hidden cave. Everyone drew their swords and rushed in. However, it was already empty inside, with only the clothes thrown away by Lu'er, used daggers, and a few bottles and jars casually thrown there. The leader of the courtyard twisted the soil on the ground and discovered the dead face goo. He was surprised and looked at other medicine bottles, which had the fragrance of EP1-10, not good. The head of the courtyard guard exclaimed in shock. He used the face goo to disguise himself, and also used the EP1-10 to shape himself. This has already become another person. That fool killed not because of an extraterrestrial treasure, but because of a premeditated plan. The leader of the nursing home was stunned. It's hard to imagine that everything in front of me was done by that weak and deceitful guy next to the young master. He endured it for such a long time. What a terrible trick. Li Yu was also surprised. There are words here. Suddenly, there was a loud shout, and a guard shouted loudly. Everyone quickly approached and saw 4 big characters left on the wall with charcoal. "See you later." This is a blatant slap. Li Yu was furious and roared loudly, "Find him for me. Even if you dig 3 feet deep, you must find him for me. I want him to die hard." End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Apprenticeship. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 Apprenticeship. Lu Jing rushed back to Isha in Mian County overnight. The called Isha is a unique place in Hanzhong that helps the poor and gathers refugees. The people of Tianshi Dao built thatched huts outside the county town, which were covered with bedding, grain, and occasionally meat for people to stay and eat. Although it is free, the disciples of the Heavenly Master Dao declared, if you gain too much, you will offend ghosts and gods and get sick. At this time, the people were relatively simple and revered ghosts and gods, so they were very disciplined. Even if they wanted to steal or rob, they dared not take action against the righteous sacrifice of the Heavenly Master Dao. In today's era, the reputation of the Heavenly Master Dao is not very good. Many people at that time called it rice thieves or rice witches, but in fact, many of the things they do are worthy of praise. For example, according to Zhang Daoling's teachings, teach the public to be honest and not to deceive, and allow patients to surrender their faults, forgive the offender 3 times, and only add punishment if they repeat the offense. If it is a minor offense, one should take 100 steps to repair the road to atone for it. According to the moon order, during the growth of all things in spring and summer, slaughter and excessive drinking are prohibited. For over 30 years, Zhang Lu dominated Hanzhong and remained relatively stable. Many people fled to this place, such as tens of thousands of people who fled from the direction of Ziwu Valley in Guanxi. Those who come from Zhang Lu will not refuse. In his eyes, this is not a refugee, this is a believer, so in recent years, the influence of the Heavenly Master Dao has been increasing and gradually spreading. Of course, the thatched cottage boasted extravagantly, but it was still a thatched cottage with limited conditions. Even so, when Lu Jing came, several bunks in a charity house were filled with people. In the end, he found a bed in a charity house near the toilet. That smell, damn it, what kind of life are you living here? Lu Jing was speechless. Let's endure it for a night. There are disciples selected by the Heavenly Master Dao these past 2 days. Sleeping here for a night will make the taste of refugees even more abundant and less likely to be suspected. Lu Jing desperately comforted himself, took off his shoes, and went up to the bunk. The smell of the blanket was indescribable. After hesitating for a long time, Lu Jing covered himself with a deep sigh. Lying in bed, the stench of feet and grinding teeth came one after another, along with the smell of the toilet floating from outside the window. Lu Jing's face turned black like the bottom of a pot, and he couldn't help but feel annoyed. He swore in his heart that he would never let himself be so embarrassed again from now on. There is still some pain in the right eye, as if something is taking root and sprouting inside. At the thought of it, Lu Jing couldn't care about the outside world anymore. He touched his right eye and looked at the ceiling, feeling a bit worried. What's so strange about these eyes? How could it suddenly enter its own eyes? Looking at it, I feel a bit lost in thought. Suddenly, Lu Jing's right eye was dazed. He looked through the roof to see the sky and the black giant eye under the starry sky. A faint blue qi was hanging from that eye, changing the sky and earth. Is this vitality? Lu Jing was taken aback and observed carefully. At this moment, a crow flew over the roof. It's very fast. But in Lu Jing's eyes, when he was fully focused, the crow flew as if slowing down, jumping frame by frame. Not only that, when the gaze is focused on the crow, one can see through its feathers the subcutaneous blood vessels, veins, and beating heart. What is this? Lu Jing widened his eyes and felt surprised in his heart. He looked at the sleeping old man beside him with disbelief and concentration. As expected, his gaze also penetrated through the quilt, clothes, and flesh, staring directly at his bones, blood vessels, and meridians. I'll go. Lu Jing was first shocked, then overjoyed. You can see the vitality of heaven and earth, you can directly look at the meridians of the human body, good eyes. This way you can tabo, you can also see the operation root of the martial arts. It is convenient to secretly learn martial arts, very practical. It's a bit dizzy when used too much. Lu Jing's head sank and he fell asleep. Being in a refugee camp, the conditions were rudimentary and the air was extremely poor, but it was the most peaceful sleep he had ever had in the past month as a cow and a horse. This vast and mysterious world of high martial arts. I, Lu Jing, have arrived. The next morning. Under the guidance of the Master of Sacrifice, the disciples of the Heavenly Master came to the Isha to supply congee for the refugees with a congee cart and dressed in a grey Taoist robe. They were also ready to choose their disciples. The sacrificial wine that governs Mian County is called Fan Xian, with the courtesy name Changsheng. He is a person in his 40s who looks quite elegant. He is wearing a white Taoist robe and has the words Jingyi embroidered on his chest, which gives him a bit of a fairy-like demeanor. The so called Jingyi means Jingyi is used to treat evil, and Yi is used to govern all. The first heavenly master Zhongling believed, the Tao is the foundation of all things in the world. Its main idea is to personify Tao as Tai Shang Lao Jun, emphasizing that Taoism is the supreme and sacred true religion that cannot be offended by anyone. In addition, Tao is also interpreted as one, equating one with Laozi, and one to unify the whole world, thus derived from it. So, the Heavenly Master Way, also known as the Zhenyi Alliance Way. When the people of the Heavenly Master sect came to give congee, the refugees became active and stood in line with their chopsticks. All men, women, young and old looked respectful, and Fan Xian looked like a real immortal. Little did they know that true immortals were also worried. Fan Xian was the fourth disciple of Zhang Lu, the father of Zhang Lu and the second-generation Heavenly Master Zhang Heng. He was Zhang Lu's fourth junior brother and had been practicing in seclusion at the Motian Ridge of the Heavenly Master Dao. 2 months ago, the former sacrificial wine in Mian County was assassinated by bandits, leaving the county leaderless. Coincidentally, Fan Xian left the border, and Zhang Lu specially invited him to come here to govern, take control of one side, and also collect apprentices to pass on merits and promote the heavenly teacher's way. Mian County is a crucial location in the throat of Hanzhong, with significant connections. It is also known as the Golden Ox Ancient Road, which has been continuously entering Sichuan. Surrounded by numerous gangs and a mix of dragons and snakes, and the bandits who were assassinated have not yet been caught. At this time, Zhang Luoning asked Fan Xian to take over this mess, obviously believing in his junior brother's ability. Fan Xian did indeed live up to Zhang Lu's expectations. In just 2 months, Mian County was restored to its former order, and the search for thieves, the collection of apprentices for meritorious deeds, and the settlement of refugees were carried out in an orderly manner. However, in recent days, there have been more disciples selected from the refugee camp with more names and less true teachings, which do not meet his standards. Moreover, he has a temperament of preferring scarcity over excess, and has been worried about this. What's even more troubling is that there was a murder case in Mian County last night, which was extremely heinous in nature. The young master of Li Zhuang was assassinated by his followers, and the person acted ruthlessly and decisively. Later, he cleverly escaped pursuit, changed his appearance, and disappeared from sight. In such a situation, even posting a wanted notice is useless because no one knows about the new face, which is like looking for a needle in a haystack. If you are hiding in the refugee pile in Mian County, you can still search for it, but it is more likely that you have already left Mian County and infiltrated the refugee groups in other counties, so there is absolutely no way. In times of chaos, the feudal lords were divided and chaotic, with nothing else but refugees. People are not like things. Human beings are mobile, and even with the help of Tai divine numbers, it is difficult to determine their foothold. Last night, Fan Xian had already tried, but for some reason, the hexagrams were vague and the sky was chaotic, making it difficult to calculate. This situation usually occurs in characters who have a great impact on the world. They are entangled in causality, forced to calculate, and are easily backfired by the heavenly way. But this Lu Er is insignificant, he doesn't even know martial arts, so it shouldn't be so. Fan Xian was a bit strange, but he didn't think much about it. It is only assumed that the servant may have accidentally fallen in love with a capable person who can change the overall situation of the world in the future, and was blessed by them, so the heavens are in chaos. People who practice Taoism follow the heavenly way and never act against it. Since they cannot catch up, they should not pursue it. Of course, you can't say that to Lord Li Zhuang. You still need to do what you need to do, it's just a bit annoying. Feeling bored, I suddenly saw a young man standing next to the well behind the queue of refugees. He rolled up his sleeves and was vigorously washing a wooden basin, with his coat next to it, as if preparing to wash. He is very clean, out of place with refugees, but not the kind of pampered cleanliness, but the clean and refreshing way of washing hands and feet frequently. Fan Xian raised his eyebrows lightly and smiled at the corners of his mouth, which couldn't help but evoke a certain fondness. Such people are rare among refugees. After some thought, he directly took out a talisman. The refugees all looked excited at the sight and stood straight with their heads and chests up. This talisman appeared yesterday, which is used to select disciples who can join the heavenly master Dao to learn martial arts and Taoism. If someone has excellent qualifications, the talisman will spontaneously float towards that person when it ignites. Immediate results, very convenient. This kind of talisman is sealed with divine energy and entered into the talisman paper. People with insufficient skills cannot draw it, only high-level, refining realm masters at the level of offering wine can draw it. 3 levels of cultivation in the day after tomorrow. Refining food and transforming essence. Forge the body environment. Refining essence and transforming qi. Creating qi realm. Refining qi and transforming spirit. The realm of refining gods. Only by reaching the realm of refining gods, opening up the heavenly heart with qi, and opening up the mud ball palace, can one cultivate divine thoughts, cultivate Taoist techniques, and become a truly first-class expert. Fan Xian is such a master. The talisman paper is sandwiched between the fingertips, igniting without fire and drifting towards the sky. Under the gaze of all the refugees, the talismans drifted steadily towards the back of the long dragon in the queue. Falling beside a laundry boy. Lu Jing didn't know about Fu Hua. In order to leave a good impression on the sacrificial wine, he kept leaning aside and planned to tidy himself up before going over to review it. Too smelly. Lu Jing's heart was filled with foul language, but his expression was particularly serious when suddenly the light was blocked. He looked up and saw that Fan Xian had come to him without a sound, kind and elegant, with a smile on his face. "What is your name? Where did you come from?" Lu Jing was taken aback for a moment. "Is this about accepting apprentices? So fast today?" Lu Jing immediately straightened his posture, stood up, bowed his hand, and said calmly, "I am a person from Huayin in Guangzhou. Due to the mutual wars, burning, killing, and looting among the feudal lords in Guangzhou, I had to flee all the way to this place for survival. My surname is Lu Mingjing, and my courtesy name is Dongting. I have seen Lord Jijiu." Lu Jingyan spoke politely and with clear organization. Fan Xian was satisfied and nodded. He reached out and rested his hand on his shoulder, injecting true energy to check his bone qualifications. The Qi Yuan symbol can only be roughly measured. As long as the meridians are normal and more than half of the orifices are open, it can attract the symbol fire. It really depends on the specifics and needs to be mastered. Unexpectedly, it didn't matter at first glance. Although Lu Jing didn't have half of his internal strength, the 52 Qi training acupoints inside his body were actually in a heavenly state, with no blockage at all. The 8 meridians of the unique meridians of the body are unobstructed, and the root and bone qualifications are extremely excellent, making them the pinnacle of talent and beauty in the world. Fan Xian was overjoyed, as if not expecting it. He quickly examined it carefully 3 or 4 times, and the more he looked, the more surprised he became. This sun not only has a unique acupoint that connects with the heavens, but also has a naturally broad meridian and excellent resilience, which is perfect for practicing qi. Why does this resemble the legendary Tao body? Fan Xian was pleasantly surprised for a moment and didn't know what to do. This is an unparalleled good seedling. Like these people, they should have joined a prestigious family long ago. I never expected that the Pearl River would be left in the wilderness and still wander here. Could it be that the Supreme Emperor favored them and specially bestowed upon me a good disciple? The old man touched and touched, causing Lu Jing to feel uncomfortable and a chill. This guy won't be as good as Long Yang, right? Although it has always been my creed to do things by any means to achieve his goals, this is really the bottom line. Lu Jing frowned and was about to retreat when he saw Fan Xian withdraw his hand and solemnly say to him, "Are you willing to join me?" Lu Jing saw his serious expression and knew that he might have misunderstood something, so he breathed a sigh of relief. "Since that's the case, I will never refuse." Without saying a word, Lu Jing took out 5 buckets of rice from his clothes and presented it with both hands. Fan Xian smiled and took it. Lu Jing knelt down on both knees and kowtowed respectfully. Apprentice Lu Jing, pay respects to master. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Returning to Yuan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Returning to Yuan. I found a treasure, very good. Fan Xian was excited in his heart and helped up Lu Jing. He couldn't care about anyone else for a moment. He said in a warm voice, "From now on, you are my true disciple of Fan Xian. Follow me back to the capital to complete the ceremony and record the album. Once you arrive, I'll leave it to you." After saying this, he turned around and led Lu Jing towards the direction of the Mian County capital. True disciple. Lu Jing was surprised, shouldn't it be registered? Is Lu Er very qualified? Isn't that right? Lu Jing felt suspicious in his heart. If the qualifications of Lu Er are really so good, why did Li Yu and his team have no response? I should have tested it before buying slaves. Lu Jing was actually just trying to learn from the Heavenly Master Dao with a mindset of giving it a try. Firstly, the previous selection process was not difficult, as each time a few named disciples could be selected from the refugee pile. What if it were successful? Although a named disciple is not much better than a servant, he has only changed his servant, but at least he can practice martial arts. Secondly, Fan Xian has a good reputation. After coming to Mian County for 2 months, he has already gained the reputation of benevolence and kindness. Even if he fails, there will be no loss. San Lai, the inheritance of the Heavenly Master Dao, is exquisite, and the Five Thunder Heavenly Heart technique is famous in the martial arts world. Working hard towards this is much better than other choices. Of course, if it doesn't work out, Lu Jing can also seek refuge with the blissful cave nearby and learn goo and poison techniques. Their martial arts do not require high qualifications and can be practiced by individuals. However, once you take that path, you need to be extra careful and your subsequent plans will also be affected. It definitely won't be due to Lu Er's own reasons. Lu Jing was determined in his heart, was it? Because of that Thinking of this, Lu Jing's heart trembled uncontrollably, wondering what exactly it was. Yes, senior uncle. The disciple named Deng Lin was also startled by Fan Xian's words. He is one of the 3 true biographies of Lu Yong, the 3rd disciple of Zhang Jiao, who was a former sacrificial priest. His name is Luo Feng and his courtesy name is Deng Lin. After 2 months of dating, Luo Feng has become very familiar with the temperament of his martial uncle. He lived in seclusion, advocated governing by inaction, but he suppressed many local wealthy families who oppressed civilians, secretly causing them to lose a lot of money. For example, Li Yu, the head of Li Zhuang, only asked him to do a divination and spent a year on his harvest. Moreover, 80% of the money was invested in the Isha as before, much more benevolent than his master, and more indifferent and cautious. Now, the murderer of the master has not been caught yet. At this time, it is not appropriate to choose a true transmission from refugees of unknown origin. What if he conspires with the killer and has ulterior motives? Even if it's not related to the killer, what if it's an undercover agent from another faction who infiltrated the Heavenly Master Dao? Shouldn't we learn more about it? Take a good look. Just accept it directly, it's too hasty. Master, you don't seem to be such an impatient person. Luo Feng was very puzzled. If Fan Xian knew his thoughts, he would definitely say. If someone didn't teach such a good talent and didn't let him practice any martial arts, just to be released as an undercover agent when he was in his 20s, then that person's brain must have been kicked by a donkey. We still have to let a group of donkeys kick for 3 months in a row, otherwise we won't be able to do such a foolish thing. What a waste. With such good qualifications, if I could cultivate from a young age, my current level may not be worse than him. How could I possibly be an undercover agent from another sect? Fan Xian strode back, and Lu Jing followed him step by step. Those named disciples and refugees watched them go far away, sighing and looking at Lu Jing with envy in their eyes. The current Mianxian County government has been transformed into a Taoist temple-like place by the Heavenly Master Dao. Before entering, there is already a fragrance of sandalwood wafting in. Inside, there are many gray-clad Taoist priests walking back and forth holding bamboo slips, busy but not chaotic. During the Three Kingdoms period, Taoism had already existed. Taoism was not yet mature and did not have as many regulations as later generations. Taiping Dao, Tianshi Dao, and others are in the early stages of Taoism, let alone Tianshi Dao, which also manages local internal affairs and is different from later Taoism. However, the strict hierarchical system has begun to take shape. Lu Jing's apprentice was not just a hot topic in his mind, he had specifically learned about the ways involved. There are a total of 6 levels within the Heavenly Master Dao, and positions are established based on the level of hearing the Dao. The most intuitive manifestation of the amount of Dao obtained is the level of Qi cultivation. Those who have just discovered the path can refine food and transform essence, strengthen their body and health, but there is no true Qi in their body. These people can only be considered laymen. A layman enters the Dao, refines essence and transforms Qi, and generates internal energy in the meridians. Only then can he be considered a formal disciple, known as a ghost soldier. Above the ghosts and soldiers, Qi opens up the heavenly spirit, creating a mud ball palace and giving birth to divine thoughts. This is called sacrificial wine. Above the sacrificial wine, there are also grand sacrificial wines, inheritors, and even heavenly masters. At this level, without exception, they are all outstanding in martial arts, superb in Taoist techniques, and possessing the technique of connecting the heavens, which is beyond the imagination of ordinary people. These people wearing grey Taoist robes in the governance center are the ghosts and soldiers of the Heavenly Master Dao, divided into civil and military departments, assisting in the management of local government affairs through sacrificial offerings. They were all disciples of Lu Yong, the former sacrificial wine. After Lu Yong's death, Fan Xian succeeded him. He was alone and didn't change the team at all, just used it. Senior uncle. Fan Xian entered the door, and the busy crowd did not forget to bow, with curious eyes looking at Lu Jing behind him. Ordinary named disciples don't need to be personally led in by their senior uncle. So this is your junior brother, my newly collected true biography. Lu Jing, Lu Dongting. Fan Xian made a straightforward introduction, and everyone in the courtyard was surprised, just like Luo Feng's reaction. Did you just go out and collect a true biography? Is there some children's play? Lu Jing has seen all the senior brothers before, Lu Jing said with a dignified salute, neither humble nor overbearing. Fan Xian nodded in satisfaction. This disciple is really pleasing to the eye as he looks at him. He is humble and polite, a noble son from a humble family. Most of those disciples are named and dare not show any airs. Even if it's Lu Yong's true biography, now that his master is gone, he still dare not show his face to Fan Xian's disciples. He politely replied, "Junior brother." Fan Xian nodded and said to one of his disciples, Shaoqing, "Come with me. Everyone else should do their own job." After speaking, he led Lu Jing and his disciple into the main hall of the capital. Guiyuan Hall. As Lu Jingyi walked into the hall, he suddenly felt the fragrance of sandalwood wafting in his face. He looked up and saw a statue of the Supreme Old Lord enshrined in the hall, with an old and kind face that was lifelike. Fan Xian first asked Lu Jing to kowtow 3 heads to the statue, and then asked the disciple who followed to recite the 7 precepts and 35 laws. Then, he walked up to Lu Jing, shook the dust, pinched his finger with one hand, and said solemnly. Disciple Lu Jing obeys orders. Today, I am the first disciple of the contemporary 4 meridians true transmission of the Jingyi sect. From then on, I will be allowed to practice the profound martial arts and Taoist methods of my sect. I will strictly abide by the teachings, not violate any prohibitions, study diligently day and night, and shine on my Jingyi sect. Lu Jingjin obeys the teacher's orders. No matter what Fan Xian thinks, he is the first person to treat him so well since Lu Jingchuan's journey. This kindness is deeply ingrained in Lu Jingming's heart. Lu Jing's heartfelt words also deepened the smile at the corner of Fan Xian's mouth. He could see that Lu Jing lacked a sense of security and was not easily emotional. He pretended to be respectful on the road, so he directly hit the straight ball. I value your qualifications, and you also see my importance. Let's not act as masters and disciples. As long as you don't betray the Heavenly Master Dao and have more thoughts, it doesn't matter. Fan Xian's own senior brothers are not lacking in ambitious people, so he is not demanding. Master apprentice, I'll teach you. You respect me, practice martial arts diligently in the future, be able to protect yourself, and also spread the reputation of Xing. Then this disciple won't be in vain. Fan Xian patted Lu Jing's shoulder and said gently, from now on, there's no need to be too polite. You just got out of trouble, and as a teacher, you won't hold your past experiences accountable. Just be cautious in your words and actions in the future, and don't be against Xing. Otherwise, as a teacher, I won't be able to save you. Yes, disciples must not disappoint their master's high expectations. Lu Jing had a serious expression and a serious tone. Fan Xian nodded and looked at the accompanying disciple, Shaoqing. Go and get a set of authentic disciples' Taoist robes, a copy of the Dao de Jing, and also have someone prepare the residence of Dongting. Yes. The disciple bowed and took orders, retreating. His name is Jian Shi, with the courtesy name Shaoqing. He was Lu Yong's second disciple and was in charge of the affairs of the Ministry of Education. As he left, Fan Xian said, "It is true that when teaching martial arts, there should be a sword opening ceremony. The forging state does not involve swordsmanship, so I will teach you a set of palm techniques as a teacher. Practice more in the future, and strive to cultivate true qi as soon as possible." "Thank you very much, Master." Of course, Lu Jing has no second thoughts. Finally able to learn martial arts. He suppressed his excitement and looked at Fan Xian, waiting for his next move. The forging technique, also known as the guiding technique, is the foundation for martial artists to refine their food and essence. Regular practice helps to open up meridians, strengthen tendons, and nourish the body. Ordinary body forging techniques are difficult to defend against, such as Yizong's 5 animal plays and Bema Temple's 12 elements of the Dharma Sea collection. However, I am completely different. The founder's creation of returning to the Yuan palm not only allows for body forging, but also allows for confrontation with enemies. Fan Xian's expression changed, he put on his posture and practiced the correct returning to the Yuan palm. The moves were graceful and agile, and his body was as graceful as an immortal. He recited the melody in his mouth. Stealing Kunlun longevity wine, ascending and descending sun and moon as supervisors. The move cooperates with the idea to gradually drive the body's 3 treasures essence, qi, and spirit to move around the body, refine the grain essence into essence, and strengthen the body. Lu Jing took it very seriously. He is a beginner in martial arts and does not understand meridians and acupoints, nor does he produce a sense of qi. Generally speaking, he can only imitate and draw gourds according to the same pattern. The forging technique is also born for this purpose, not only to strengthen the body, but also to cultivate the wonderful use of qi, laying the foundation for cultivating internal skills. But Lu Jing is different. I don't know the meridians or acupoints, but I can see through the human body and directly observe the path of true qi movement. As he was fully focused, his eyes once again penetrated through the flesh and blood of Fan Xian's body and saw the flow of energy inside him. At this moment, Fan Xian did not perform a profound internal skill, otherwise the true qi movement path would be too complex for Lu Jing to understand even if he looked directly at it. He only practiced returning to the Yuan palm, and the flow of true qi in his body follows the palm technique of returning to the Yuan palm to move the meridians and meridians. It is simple and clear at a glance. Did you remember? Fan Xian practiced a total of 8 moves in returning to the Yuan palm 3 times and asked Lu Jing Dao. Lu Jing replied, "Remember." Fan Xian said, "I can't remember." Fan Xian hesitated for a moment and said seriously, "Do you really remember?" It should be noted that although the forging technique is simple, it is a tiny mistake, 1,000 miles away. If a move is not up to standard, it may waste time and have no effect. Faced with Fan Xian's questioning, Lu Jing took 2 steps forward and respectfully arched his hand, saying, "Please correct your acts, Master." He took a deep breath and began practicing Gui Yuan palm in an orderly manner. I don't know if it's because of that eye, but he feels that his body is more coordinated and his reaction speed is faster. Although I haven't practiced any martial arts before, my moves are naturally coherent without any delay. The body follows the heart moves with the will, the movements are standard, and it's easy to pick it up. Lu Jing is just beginning to learn and practice, and his movements are exactly the same as Fan Xian's, without any mistakes. Fan Xian widened his eyes in surprise. This child's qualifications, even if he was mentally prepared, he was still surprised to see this scene. Fan Xian couldn't help but feel that this was truly a natural talent, blessed by the Supreme Court. Not only that. Lu Jing practiced faster and faster, showing off his 8 moves one by one, gradually gaining the true meaning of his palm technique. In the blink of an eye, he also practiced 3 times, his whole body full of qi and blood churning, and his entire spirit and energy were mobilized. The more you practice the body forging technique, the better the effect. If you don't master it, you won't be able to produce a sense of qi or mobilize your essence even after practicing it many times. On the contrary, if you have the form and spirit, you may succeed after practicing it a few times. Suddenly, with a movement of his heart and mind, Lu Jing's hot energy naturally emanated from his abdomen's dantian, and as his mind moved around, it accumulated in his palm. He took the opportunity to palm the incense burning in the hall, stirring a gentle breeze with his palm strength. With one palm, 3 feet away, the straight pillar of smoke shook. Ha! Lu Jing stopped and looked at his hands with joy. Is this true qi? Is this the legendary internal power? Master. He looked at Fan Xian excitedly. No matter how reserved and calm he was, he couldn't contain his joy anymore. He said, "Do I no longer need to forge my body? Can I practice my internal skills now?" Fan Xian is already numb. He widened his eyes and looked at the swaying pillar of smoke, his mouth slightly open, unsure of what to say. If there is anyone else who could have achieved the precise imitation before, then practicing the forging fist 3 times can produce true qi. It is unprecedented. I haven't seen such a wicked person in the 200 years since the heavens cracked and my vitality descended. Not a single one. The reason why the forging body realm is separated into a separate realm is because there are too few people who can achieve it in one step. In the martial arts world, there is a saying of building a foundation in 100 days, which shows its difficulty. But today, in less than 15 minutes of passing the martial arts, my disciple has already skipped forging and directly created qi. Master. Master. Lu Jing called out 2 more times. Fan Xian regained his senses and watched as Lu Jing's expression became extremely complex, with some astonishment, some envy, and some confusion. In the end, everything turned indifferent and he said, "Great, you can practice the golden light mantra now. It is usually sent around 12 noon in the future." End of this chapter. Chapter 5. March. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. March. When Jian Shi returned to the Guiyuan Hall with his Taoist robe and scriptures, the apprenticeship ceremony had already been completed. The atmosphere is a bit off. The senior uncle looked at his junior brother with a strange gaze, somewhat like looking at rare birds and beasts, with a hint of amazement and admiration, as if he was lamenting the mysterious nature of the Supreme Emperor. Jian Shi enters the door. Fan Xian's expression remained calm as he gently brushed the dust and said to Lu Jing, "This is your 3rd senior uncle and 2nd apprentice, Jian Shi, Jian Shaoqing, who is also the Minister of Education and History of Mian County. He is also in charge of government affairs. You can come to him for any living needs in the future." "Yes. Please give me more guidance, senior brother." Lu Jing nodded and bowed to Jian Shi. Jian Shi smiled and helped him up, saying, "Junior brother, you don't need to be polite. Once you enter the door, we are one family. Junior brother, if you can make senior uncle collect such exceptional information, you must have exceptional talent. Perhaps you can surpass me soon. We can help each other." Senior brother praised me. Lu Jing is someone who eats soft rather than hard. If you treat me well, I will treat you well. If you dare to think of me, then I will try my best to kill you. She had a friendly attitude, and Lu Jing didn't have a cold face. He had a somewhat respectful and friendly demeanor. Fan Xian smiled and said, "Let's settle down and build a foundation in 100 days. I will give you 3 months to practice returning to the Yuan palm. After 3 months, I will make a decision based on your performance." The disciples of Zheng Yizhenchuan should not only be martial artists, but also be able to assist in offering sacrifices and handling government affairs, and be able to read and write accurately. Even if you don't know the big characters and specialize in martial arts, you still need to be able to organize and have a plan for catching bandits and similar tasks. True disciples do not need to lead by example and become big-headed soldiers, but they cannot joke about the lives of others. This statement sounds very normal to Jianxi. After all, there is no precedent for 3 rounds of boxing to refine qi, and it takes time to go through this process. But in Lu Jing, this is protection for him. Trees are beautiful in the forest, and the wind will surely destroy them. As soon as Lu Jing enters the door, it is a true legend that is already very eye-catching. If you let others know that he has been refining and transforming qi for a quarter of an hour, and directly jumps over the forging state, you will inevitably be envied. In addition, there is an assassin who assassinated Lu Yong hidden in the dark, with an unclear purpose. It is better to hide for 3 months and secretly accumulate strength. Yes, I'm leaving. Lu Jing and Jianxi respectfully withdrew from the Guiyuan Hall. Fan Xian withdrew his gaze and turned around to pay homage to the statue of Emperor Daozu of the Supreme Court. He took out a notebook from his sleeve. The cover of that booklet was actually made of gold foil, faintly shining with precious light in extraordinary luxury. Fan Xian solemnly opened the golden book, took a pen and pointed ink, and on the blank first page, the worker wrote the 5 words, Lu Jing, Lu Dongting, in full. At the same time, in the main altar of the Heavenly Master Tao in the Motionling Mountains, under the gilded statue of the Taoist ancestor, a roll of purple bamboo slips is enshrined on a golden table. At this moment, the name of Lu Jing automatically appeared below the 2 characters Fan Xian on the 4th piece of bamboo slips. On that bamboo slip, from right to left, there is a record of the names and taboos of the true disciples of Zhengyi throughout history, from the 1st generation of Heavenly Master Zhongling, the 2nd generation of Heavenly Master Zhonghang, the 3rd generation of Heavenly Master Zhonglu, the successor Zhang Wei to Lu Yong, Fan Xian, and even their next generation of true disciples, including Luo Feng, Jianxi, etc., all listed. However, the names of Zhongling, Zhonghang, and others are pale gold, the names of Zhonglu, Zhang Wei, and Fan Xian are white, and the names of Lu Yong are blood red. This bamboo slip is the unique treasure of the Heavenly Master Tao. The Tao plate, a magical object that can sense the life and death of the person named on it. Inside the main hall, Zhang Yulan, the contemporary saint of the Heavenly Master Tao and also the younger sister of Zhang Lu, was meditating on the putuan when she noticed a strange movement in the Tao dish. When she stood up, she was somewhat surprised. 4th senior brother actually took in an apprentice. Zhang Yulan was well aware of Fan Xian's temperament, and it was not an exaggeration to say that his eyes were above his head. There were so many experts in the sect who recommended his trusted disciples as his true disciples, including those with excellent qualifications. As a result, he confiscated all of them and pushed them all away. Today we finally have a descendant, but it's rare. Qieying. After thinking for a moment, Zhang Yulan shouted towards the side hall. Auntie. Zhang Qieying, the daughter of Zhang Lu, walked out slowly with a scroll of Taoist books. She was a young jade with rosy lips and white teeth, dressed in a black Taoist robe, and her skin was even more snowy. Her temperament was ethereal, but her expression was hazy, as if she had not fully woken up, giving people a feeling of coquettishness. I'm reading at night again, right? Zhang Yulan nodded helplessly on Zhang Qieying's forehead. Zhang Jiao hesitated for a moment before instinctively covering her, took a step back, and looked strangely at Zhang Yulan. Zhang Yulan smiled and shook her head. This girl has excellent cultivation skills and can easily comprehend the Taoist scriptures. Unfortunately, she is a bit slow in her daily life. Zhang Lu's mother, first wife, and younger brother Zhang Gui all died in the open and secret struggles with Lu Zhang in the past. Zhang Jiao was born to Zhang Lu Shuxian and has also died early. She was raised by Zhang Yulan, and the two were named aunts and nephews. They share the same love for their mother and daughter. Zhang Yulan looked at Zhang Jiao lovingly and stroked her head, saying, "Your fourth senior uncle has a new apprentice. Aunt wants to give him a small gift to show her affection. Can you bring it to Aunt? The person who killed Lu Yong is still hiding in the dark, and his skills are definitely not small." Fan Xian was willing to enter this dangerous situation in the face of danger, and the Zhang family cannot turn a blind eye. Giving him a small gift that is neither light nor heavy would be appropriate, as it would seem inappropriate to give him a gift that is neither light nor heavy. Okay. Zhang Jiao will not refuse her aunt's request, although others can do it. Although the current situation in Mian County is not good and it is risky for her to go, she did not refuse, or rather did not think deeply. Zhang Yulan also doesn't want her to take risks, but Zhang Jiao is already 16 years old, and her temperament must be changed. Otherwise, if she becomes a saint in the future, she will also be constrained by others, and she cannot protect her for a lifetime. Zhang Jiao's road is still long. After Cao Cao's defeat in the Battle of Red Cliffs, he may soon take action against Hanzhong. No matter what adults think, Zhang Jiao will always grow. With more experience now, she will have more say in the future. I don't know his realm yet. Let's talk about pills, weapons, and so on in the future. There is a small item that is very suitable as a gift. Zhang Yulan waved casually, and a wooden box suddenly opened in the corner. A black line flew out of it and fell into her hands, forming a circle from the beginning, like a bracelet. But upon closer inspection, the surface of the bracelet had fine scales and shimmered with black light, making it a slender black snake with its head and tail intertwined. Hiss. Zhang Jiao was surprised, but not afraid. She tilted her head and looked at the little snake, recalling the origin of this thing. Zhang Yulan said, "This is a strange beast called Ba Snake. It was a small item offered by Yang Bai during the Great Sacrifice Wine Festival a few days ago. There is also qiankuan in its belly, which can be used to store objects. It is also highly poisonous. I originally wanted to raise it and take the skin to make a qiankuan bag. Now, let's give it to him as a small gift. These days are not peaceful, and Ba Snake is poisonous, which can help him." After finishing speaking, he drew a talisman on cinnabar paper and handed it to Zhang Jiao, saying, "Teach him the usage of this spiritual talisman and help him subdue this beast." Zhang Jiao nodded and placed the Ba Snake and talisman paper together in her waist sachet. It was obvious that her sachet was a bag of heaven and earth. Zhang Yulan said, "Go ahead, your martial arts and Taoist skills have already entered the room. Auntie is not worried, but you have a simple mind and should practice well. Mian County is currently short of manpower, so you can help under the command of fourth senior uncle. In 10.5 days, I will come to pick you up. Be careful." Zhang Jiao stepped forward and grabbed Zhang Yulan's hand, showing her a bright smile before turning and leaving the main hall. Zhang Yulan looked at her thin back and felt heartbroken as she wanted to change her mind, but when she thought about the future, she still made a tough decision. As Zhang Jiao left, Zhang Yulan's face turned cold and she uttered 3 words. "Wind beast." In an instant, a gentle breeze rose in the hall, faintly converging into the shape of a fox, with 4 claws prostrating in front of Zhang Yulan. Zhang Yulan said, "When Jiao is in imminent danger, save her and escape. Before that, do not interfere or show any signs." Ah! The breeze disappeared. The wind beast rushed out of the main hall. Zhang Yuan sat cross-legged again and closed her eyes. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Peering. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 Peering Mian County Administration. Jian Shi brought Lu Jing to the backyard and found a clean and tidy courtyard for him. He said, "There are only 3 true disciples of our master's lineage, our brothers. The eldest senior brother Shueliang is the commander of the martial arts department, with the highest level of cultivation. He has already created 6 levels of qi and lives in the room in the east. However, most of the time he arrests criminals outside, and even when he comes back, he comes and goes in a hurry. The third junior brother Luo Feng is a member of the Luo family in Mian County and does not live in the administrative center. Therefore, this backyard is basically only the senior uncle and us. The room next to you is my room. The fewer people, the better." Lu Jing declined first and said as he walked, "So, senior brother Shui is the strongest in Mian County besides master?" "No." Jian Shi shook his head and said with a bitter smile, "Junior brother, what you're thinking is too simple. The 10 ghosts and soldiers in Mian County are all in the realm of creating qi. Except for me, the rest are all good hands recruited by Master Su with generous profits. Even if we can't say we'll win. Nowadays, extraterrestrial treasures often fall, and there are always lucky ones with high blessings who are blessed by heaven and have developed skills. Local clans have long been entrenched here, and this is even more so. Li Yu, the head of Li Zhuang, has 7 levels of qi creation, and the leader of the Li family's courtyard guard also has 3 levels of strength. The butcher shopkeeper of the Golden Hook gambling house has obtained a unique treasure called the Tjegu sword, which is sharp and ruthless in its technique. Mr. Qian from Fenghe restaurant knows how to use drunken immortal fist with one hand. Lu Tianxiang from Tianxiang Che Ma Xing once consumed Dian Wei Ling Dan, which has the power of 9 oxen. And 2 Tigers Mian County is located close to Jinyo Road, destined to have dense caravan traffic and attract bandits and bandits. The Di people in the west and the Zong people in the south. If those who do business have no means and rely solely on our heavenly master road, they may have been robbed and killed long ago. The only capital we can run rampant is master and uncle." Jian Shi spoke earnestly and said, "Junior brother, as a newcomer, we have a deep understanding of the reputation of the heavenly master Dao. However, we also need to know that there are people outside of us, and there is a heaven outside of us. The power of the heavenly master Dao is strong, which does not mean that we can act recklessly. Lu Yu just died recently. The realm of refining gods is still like this, let alone creating qi. Not to mention that Shueliang is not the strongest person below the refining god in Mian County. Even if he is, what can he do? It's completely unreliable. This place is full of hidden dragons and crouching tigers." With many skilled hands Lu Jing understood the implied meaning and unexpectedly glanced at Jian Shi. This second senior brother is quite transparent, and what's even more rare is that this point already has some profound meaning. Lu Jing understood and smiled, "Thank you for your guidance, senior brother. I have always been willing to sacrifice my life, senior brother, feel at ease." Jian Shi laughed heartily and skipped the topic without discussing it. Lu Jing walked forward, pushed open the door, and entered his room. He saw famous paintings hanging on the walls on all 4 sides, and the decorations and furniture were all meticulously crafted. He was satisfied in his heart. "This is the place where people live, by the way, senior brother." Lu Jing suddenly remembered something and said, "Little brother, I have another invitation." Jian Shi waved his hand and said, "Junior brother, you're welcome, but it's okay to talk." Lu Jingdao said, "My younger brother comes from a poor background and comes from a difficult family. Previously, I was unable or had no way to practice martial arts. This foundation is really shallow, and there are many things I don't understand. I would like to invite my senior brother." "A small matter." Jian Shi smiled and patted Lu Jing's shoulder, saying, I have some basic scriptures that explain the mysteries of human body acupoints and meridians. I will bring them to you later. Master, I have a lot of knowledge every day. If you have anything you don't understand, you can ask me. It would be more convenient for us brothers to discuss. Thank you very much, senior brother. Lu Jing bowed and bowed. Junior brother, don't be so polite. Jian, she said, then settle down first. I'll leave Hutsong to you. He comes from an innocent background, is familiar with political affairs, and has some martial arts skills. If you have anything you want, let him come to me, or you can let him handle it. He can trust me. Okay. Lu Jing nodded. Jianxi turned around and left. In no time, an ordinary-looking and simple young man carefully carried a pile of bamboo slips into the house. He is Wukong. Lu Jing asked him to go out and guard, then plunged into the sea of books and began to supplement various knowledge. Qishu Yao Shu, 12 classic chapters, annotations on True Qi, Tianyuan Luan. At this moment, Lu Jing realized that he still had the ability to remember everything at a glance. As long as he read any classic book, whether it was meridian diagrams or convoluted ancient texts, he could remember it by heart. If he had the heart to memorize it, he could remember it word by word. What exactly is the condition of these eyes? The series of supernatural powers left Lu Jing completely bewildered, and he couldn't help but daydream as he touched his right eye. That eye looks like a human eye, but it falls from the sky. Is it difficult to see what kind of monster's eyes it is? There won't be any future troubles, will there? Lu Jing is a complete pessimist. He only believes in himself and never believes in any pie falling from the sky. Even if it does fall, there may be some disaster waiting in the future. But the origin of these eyes is really strange, making it impossible for him to prevent it. Forget it, daydreaming is useless. Let's improve our strength first. Lu Jing had already obtained the basic internal skill of the Heavenly Master Dao, the Golden Light Mantra, from Fan Xian. He had also memorized the route of walking meridians and meridians under Fan Xian's guidance of True Qi, but he was not in a hurry to cultivate. Instead, he first supplemented various common sense and read until night. When night fell, he finally digested all the bamboo slips. Suddenly, Lu Jingxin felt something and suddenly looked up, looking through the window paper to see outside the courtyard. He feels like someone is peeping in the dark. The feeling was like a thorn in his back and throat, but his perspective was limited, and he felt dizzy and unable to see beyond 10 zhang. The gaze in that dark place was farther and more concealed. Lu Jing could sense it, but he didn't know exactly where he was. Who is observing me in the dark? This feeling was so strong and dangerous. Lu Jing's heart was beating with drums, and his right eyelids twitched wildly, as if he had been targeted by a fierce beast. Fox intelligence. In. The simple young man walked in and whispered, "Senior brother, what are your instructions?" He is a named disciple of Lu Yongshou. After entering the school, he learned the basic martial arts of the Heavenly Master Dao, Yuan Palm, and Golden Light Mantra. In exchange, he had to take care of the palace, serve ghosts and soldiers, and pass on the true teachings. Better than Lu Jing's previous identity, but not much better. Born in a chaotic world and homeless, it's already great to have a shelter. Fox Tsong is very satisfied and his expression is very respectful. Lu Jingdao said, "How was third senior uncle assassinated during the previous sacrificial ceremony? Do you know?" Hu Tsong shook his head and said, "At the time of discovery, Lu Shi had already died in the quiet room. He had been stabbed in the chest with venom on it, but there was no other clue." Lu Jing frowned and said, "No fighting. No resistance. Lu Yong is a master in the realm of refining gods. He has obtained the true transmission of the Heavenly Master Dao, and his Taoist and martial arts are all top-notch. Who can silently kill him?" Hu Tsong said, "What strange is this?" Lord Jijiao arrived on the same day and checked the scene. There were indeed no signs of fighting. When Lu Shi died, he still maintained a posture of meditating and practicing qi. The toxicity was very strong and the attack was very fast. It seems that Lu Shi didn't even have time to resist. Lu Jing's heart trembled with a hint of speculation. What poison? Wushuang said, Lord Zhang Jiao said it's the 5th grade poison of the southern barbarian blissful cave, the destroying soul powder. He killed himself with a single blow upon seeing blood. Lu Jing was surprised and said, 5th grade. The world's miraculous medicines and rare treasures are divided into 3 classes and 9 grades. Among them, the top 3 grades are extremely rare and are generally held in the hands of the royal family and top aristocratic families, making them unlikely to appear in the world. The 3rd and lower grades are the mainstream in the martial arts world, while the 5th grade is already an extremely powerful thing. No wonder. Lu Jing murmured, but since it's someone from the blissful cave who started, why does the master turn a blind eye to the power of the blissful cave in Mian County? Although Huadeng Temple is secretive, even Lu Jing can hear about the hidden pills and poison of the blissful cave in the temple, let alone Fan Xian. If he really wants to avenge Lu Yong, then he should spare no effort to eliminate it. But he remained motionless. Lu Jing's brain was running rapidly, and speculations emerged one by one. This master is not as ambitious as a wolf, and the possibility of colluding with the blissful cave is very low. So if he doesn't take action, perhaps he doesn't believe that Lu Yong was harmed by the people of the blissful cave. Did the murderer intentionally frame the plot? Based on the master's ability, he may have guessed who the enemy is and which power. He pretended to be mediocre to show the enemy's weakness, lured the killer to take action. Alternatively, he could stabilize the situation first, and then find an opportunity to kill them all in one fell swoop. Although the contact time is still short, based on the news and previous communication we have gathered over the past month, Fan Xian is definitely not a bag of wine and rice. At least he is proficient in Tianji calculus and Tai Shin Shu, and will not have no clue. He may have deliberately pretended not to be able to detect anything, in order to slack off his opponent. Lu Jing asked again, do 3rd senior uncle have any powerful enemies? Wushuang's face turned pale and he said, well, no, there are too many. Lu Jingdao said, to be frank, there's no need to worry. Wushuang glanced at him carefully, nodded, and whispered, Lu Shi's tactics were tough. 3 years ago, one of the 4 ghosts of the blissful cave, the demon, intercepted a caravan on Jingyo Road and used evil methods to refine corpses. He was killed by Lu Shi's Tianlei and has been assassinated by the blissful cave ever since. He also had a son-killing feud with the D clan leader Dou Mao due to an extraterrestrial treasure. In addition, Wushuang mentioned 7 or 8 enemies in a row, all of which were powerful forces in areas such as Longxi, Tianshui, and Minshan near Hanzhong. It's also the 4 ghosts of the blissful cave, and the D King Dou Mao. Without exception, they are all very difficult to deal with. Lu Jing was speechless for a moment, a skilled person with great courage. With so many suspects, perhaps Fan Xian wasn't pretending. He doesn't really know who did it, does he? However, whoever it is, he may not just be trying to kill Lu Yong. Lu Jing looked out the window, and the line of sight was still there. Damn it. I'm on target now. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Establishment of Bureau. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 Establishment of Bureau. Alright, you go rest. Lu Jing withdrew his gaze and said, I don't need to serve. Yes. Wushuang carefully exited the door, but did not leave. Instead, he meditated outside the door and practiced the golden light mantra. Lu Jing scanned his figure, raised an eyebrow, and then looked through the window towards the dark outside of the courtyard. The night is deep and the moonlight is sparse. In the shadow, it seemed like a pair of cold eyes were staring at him intently. What's there to keep an eye on a newly introduced authentic disciple? The meaning of a drunken master is not about drinking. Lu Jing sneered and closed his eyes, also practicing the Golden Light Mantra. The Golden Light Mantra is a foundational internal skill of the Heavenly Master Tao, not very brilliant, but very useful. This cultivation method can refine and transform one's own essence, qi, and divine treasures into flowing golden light, spreading it all over the body, collecting energy to protect the body, and releasing energy to attack enemies. It is a unique technique of the Heavenly Master Tao and the foundation for all practitioners to practice thunder technique. When the golden light condenses into white, it can release thunder and unleash the famous 5 thunder correct technique. Lu Jing has extraordinary acupoints and heavenly connections throughout his body, with exceptional qualifications. With one stroke of energy, his true qi immediately boils, galloping like a fire dragon across the 8 meridians of the extraordinary scriptures. His Dantian true energy is rapidly increasing, but similarly, his body's essence energy is also transforming, and his body quickly feels hungry. At the beginning of cultivation, true qi relies entirely on the refined essence transformed from food, and cannot be achieved overnight. After receiving feedback from his body, Lu Jing stopped practicing and went to bed to conserve his energy in energy. The next morning, Lu Jing had breakfast, found Fan Xian, and told him about being spied upon. Master, I believe that San Shibwa has excellent martial arts and profound Taoist techniques. If the assassin can make him powerless, he must have used cunning tactics, such as disguising himself as someone close to him and secretly using poisonous hands. He may not have died from soul-destroying powder, but had already been controlled by drugs or insects before that. If the person who secretly observed me last night was also him, then his purpose would be very clear. It's nothing more than transforming into Lu Jing and then attacking Fan Xian. That person is staring at him just to understand his schedule and habits, so that he can confuse fake with real. Fan Xian was not surprised by this matter. Obviously, he had already guessed. What surprised him was Lu Jing. He was very satisfied with this true disciple and nodded, saying, "Very good, Dongting. You have a keen sense of 5 senses and a clear mind. As a teacher, you did not see it wrong." Lu Jing bowed and said, "Master, I am praising you falsely." Fan Xian said, "You guessed it right. Your 3rd senior uncle did not die from a highly poisonous blade on his chest, but was first taken down from the Jiuli fortress's enchanting goo. This goo is extremely difficult to refine, invisible, and has the ability to bewitch the heart. If it weren't for my old relationship with the people of the medical sect and understanding this goo, it would likely have been deceived. Enchanting goo, as the name suggests, is a goo that confuses the human heart. It can penetrate the human body to control the mind, force secrets, and is difficult to defend against." Lu Jing frowned and said, "So, is it the people of Jiuli village who did it?" Jiuli village is the 2nd most powerful martial arts force in the southern barbarians after Jiao cave. The people of the southern barbarians cultivate both goo and poison, each with their own emphasis. The people of Jiao Dong excel in poison, while the Miao people of Jiuli village dominate with goo. Not necessarily. Fan Xian shook his head and said, "Jiuli village may also be a cover. This matter is more like." Fan Xian paused for a moment before continuing. Instead, he took out a talisman from his sleeve and handed it to Lu Jing, saying, "This is a puppet talisman. There are golden armor talisman soldiers in it that can resist enemies. When using it, infuse them with true qi to summon them and use their mental energy to defend themselves. You have already developed true qi and can use it now, but before reaching the realm of refining gods, talisman soldiers can support up to 10 breaths at most. Unless forced, they cannot be abused. The 3 treasures of human body, essence, energy, and spirit, are innate in life. But the 3 treasures of ordinary people can only allow physical activity, and rashly use high-level runes, which consume the essence of their own lives, and can never be used more. Just this one talisman, ordinary people's control of 10 breaths is already the limit, and they will also suffer from significant mental and spiritual loss for a long time. In severe cases, they may be weak and unconscious, unable to even get out of bed without taking care of it for 10.5 days. No treasure can be controlled by ordinary people. Lu Jing looked at the talisman paper and was moved in his heart. Even Fan Xian couldn't easily draw this top-notch talisman, so he must have put in a lot of effort. Master, this. Take it. Fan Xian said in a warm voice, although the thief is targeting me, just in case, you should keep your guard. It's also to prevent him from using you to coerce me. Yes. Lu Jing took it and thought for a moment before saying, only Qiantian is a thief, there is no Qiantian's defense against thieves. Why don't I lead him out and have Master take action to eliminate him? Fan Xian shook his head and said, I'm afraid it's not easy. This person can use the enchanting goo to suppress the mind of third senior brother and prevent him from making any counterattacks. The power of his mind cannot be underestimated. If I really take action, I may not be able to defeat him. Lu Jingdao said, there's still a chance. If he disguises himself as me and poisons his master, he will definitely engage in actions such as serving tea. If we don't, let's play a play for him. When he takes advantage of this opportunity to poison him, the master will take action first and be strong enough to attack him. After that, be quick. Fan Xian raised his head in surprise and looked at Lu Jing, whose eyes were full of murderous intent. He secretly thought to himself that this disciple was indeed extraordinary, and the majesty had already appeared. Fan Xian thought for a moment and said, what do you think? Lu Jingdao said, serving tea is too obvious. To show filial piety, if I personally cook and please my master. Fan Xian smiled and said, ordinary food doesn't fit in my mouth. Lu Jing also smiled and said, Master, don't worry. I used to often cook and serve my mother, so I still have confidence in my cooking skills. So, in the following days, in addition to practicing internal skills and supplementing martial arts knowledge every day, Lu Jing also personally made some exquisite side dishes in the evening and sent them to Fan Xuanjing's room to show filial piety. Perhaps it was because of Lu Jing's harmless and pure filial nature that the peeping in the dark became even more reckless. Lu Jing sneered in his heart, dog thing, on the day you die, I will definitely dig out your eyeballs and feed them to the dog. Look. Look at your grandmother's legs. By the fourth day, Lu Jing had quietly broken through to the second level of gas production. This progress can be said to be extremely rapid. The Golden Light Mantra and Yuan Palm have become proficient in both defense and attack. The assassin finally could not stand it this evening. Lu Jing is cooking in the kitchen, while Wushuang is cooking for him by the stove. He admires his senior brother's stir-frying in the flow of food, secretly admiring him. What I admire even more is senior brother's heart, no wonder he can become a true legend suddenly. Lu Jing's heart twitched, and the feeling of secretly peeping came again, and this time it was even stronger, getting very close. He's going to take action. Lu Jing said calmly, Wushuang, did second senior brother bring back a lot of yellow croaker this afternoon? Wushuang was taken aback and said, yes, he brought it back when he went to Jinquan to handle government affairs. It's right in his house, ready to be pickled into salted fish. Lu Jingdao said, what kind of salted fish are you marinating? It's a waste of heaven. I'll teach you how to make a mess. Let's go steal it. Ah. Wushuang looked up in surprise and said, this is not very good, is it? Lu Jing said, when we finish eating, we'll say we'll help him show respect to his master. He dares to say no. Let's go. Wait a little longer, he'll be back. Fox Kong. Wushuang stared blankly for a while before realizing that Lu Jing's gaze was different. He immediately understood and wanted to agree, but was afraid of ruining the performance. He lowered his head and obediently followed behind Lu Jing, and the two of them quickly ran towards the Jianxi courtyard. The two had just disappeared when a figure flashed into the room. "You are lucky." The man also wore a true disciple's Taoist robe, which was exactly the same as Lu Jing's. After entering the door, his facial features instantly changed, becoming another landscape. He sneered and picked up the lunch box on the table, putting in the freshly prepared small dishes. At the same time, a small, colorful insect emerged silently from the sleeve robe, appearing semi-transparent. It climbed onto the chopsticks and changed color, merging into one with them. Then he strode out of the kitchen and naturally walked towards Fan Xuanjing's room. On the way, he met a named disciple nodding and bowing back, just like Lu Jing's usual demeanor and movements. "Master, dinner is ready. Come in." Fan Xian opened his eyes and saw Lu Jing walking over. He smiled and said, "I didn't expect your cooking skills to be so good in Dongting. I've made you so picky about my teacher's appetite." Lu Jing replied, "It's good if master likes it." He came forward, placed the lunch box on the table, placed the side dishes one by one, and then took out his chopsticks and handed them to Fan Xian. This process was the same as usual, but Fan Xian's eyes quickly flashed cold light. "Master, please use." Before Lu Jing could finish speaking, suddenly, Fan Xian waved his sleeve and wrapped it in true energy. The sleeve and robe, like a sharp knife, cut towards his throat. The assassin was shocked and quickly dodged. Unexpectedly, thunder burst under his sleeve and robe. Fan Xian had already used palm thunder, and slapped the assassin's chest with one palm. Roaming and rumbling, the sound of thunder is deafening. Fan Xian wielded a thunderous force, invincible. The assassin was caught off guard and suffered a heavy blow. Thunder energy infused his entire body, and his clothes exploded. His internal organs cracked, revealing a golden armor. Puff. The assassin spat blood out loud, flew 5 zhang away, smashed through the gate, and fell into the courtyard. Fan Xian's figure transformed into electricity, as fast as a thunder dragon. The assassin was still in the air, and his second palm had already been tapped, like a bamboo pole. Die. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Xing. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Xing. The assassin was shocked when he saw Fan Xian kill him. He quickly pinched the seal and cast the spell in mid-air, shouting loudly, "Protect." The golden inner armor suddenly emitted a dazzling golden light, transforming into a giant bell protector. Fan Xian clapped his palm and gathered the power of wind and thunder, like a towering mountain range falling from the sky, fiercely hitting the clock. Bang! The deafening bell rang, and within a radius of several miles, the vibration could be heard. In the next moment, the giant bell will shatter and the inner armor will collapse. The assassin's internal organs trembled and he spewed out a mouthful of blood, but at the same time, in the moment the bell shattered, he bit through the tip of his tongue. In an instant, countless goo insects flew out of their sleeves, washed with blood, like a cloud of blood mist, crazily rushing towards Fan Xian. The assassin seized the opportunity, quickly flipped over and landed, grabbed the ground with his right hand, leaped out with a tiger, and used his ultimate lightness skill to split into 3 clones. Together, they broke through in 4 directions. Fan Xian waved his sleeve, and the thunder burst forth, turning all the insects into flying ash. He leaped up and grabbed one of the figures, but unfortunately, he missed it and it was a fake figure. Assassin is overjoyed, head southwest with your true body. Defender of Leisure. Just as he was about to rush out of the capital, a golden figure suddenly rushed out from under the wall in front of him. Its entire body was condensed from elemental energy, reaching 3 zhang high, and its entire body was covered in golden armor. It stood barehanded and majestic, swinging a punch in the air at the assassin. The assassin was first heavily attacked by Fan Xian, with all his internal organs shattered. He then forcefully used his martial arts to activate his inner armor and treasures, and used his lightness skills. He had already run out of oil and was unable to avoid this punch. He could only protect his chest with both hands and was hit hard by the golden armor warrior. Boom! With a tremendous force approaching, the assassin let out a muffled groan, spat out blood, flew backwards, and slammed fiercely into the wall. A booklet fell off him. Intense energy enters the body, shattering the meridians and meridians. His martial arts were instantly broken, and his facial features were restored to their original state. He is a young gentleman in his 30s, with a slightly feminine appearance, and his eyebrows and eyes are full of sinister expressions. Fubbing. He gritted his teeth and looked around, but couldn't see where the manipulator was. In the shadow not far away, Lu Jing's face turned pale, holding a talisman and using his mind to control the golden armor talisman. He was about to make further efforts to completely abolish this person when suddenly a righteous shout came from outside the wall. What kind of person? Then, a grey-clad ghost soldier jumped in, embroidered with the words, Xing, on his chest, which was the true transmission of the heavenly master Dao, Lu Yongda's disciple, Shui Yang, Shui Ziming. Not good. Lu Jing's face changed slightly, and he quickly urged the assassin of the talisman soldiers, but the assassin had already realized that vitality had arrived when he saw Shui Yang. He immediately reached out his hand, his 5 fingers forming claws, and fired at him. The powerful power of the realm of refining gods was unstoppable. Before Shui Yang could react, he couldn't help but fly towards the assassin and was caught by him. He grabbed his neck and raised it as a shield. The desperate punch of the golden armored fubbing had already been delivered, but when facing Shui Yang's face, he had to stop. Ha ha ha. The willows are dark and the flowers are bright, the assassin spits blood at the mouth and laughs wildly. He threw Shui Yang towards the talisman with a backhand, enduring severe pain all over his body, and once again used his ultimate lightness skill to jump out of the treatment center. After a few leaps, he disappeared without a trace. Success is in vain. Lu Jing and the talisman soldiers were connected in their hearts and minds. As they watched the assassin escape, they looked at Shui Yang who was rushing towards them. Their killing intent was burning in their hearts, and they wished they could kill him on the spot. If it weren't for the impression he had in Fan Xian's heart, he wouldn't have hesitated to strike Shui Yang and the assassin on the spot with that punch just now. Damn it! Delaying my achievements and seeking death. If Shui Yang hadn't suddenly jumped in, he would have killed the assassin and avenged Lu Yong for helping the heavenly master Dao. Such great achievements, Zhang Lu will never be stingy. It's all because of this waste all the golden armor talisman soldiers have come out. Do you still have a 6th level of chi creation in your turn? Is it useless for you to jump in? Lu Jing took a deep breath and couldn't think anymore. He was really afraid that he couldn't control his killing intent. Shui Yang is now considered a capable general of Fan Xian. Not only can he not be killed, but he also needs to do enough courtesy. He came too short, and if he rashly became enemies with him, Fan Xian may not necessarily help anyone. Thinking of this, Lu Jing could only suppress the killing intent in his heart, make a gentle expression on his face, control the talisman to steadily catch Shui Yang, and then withdraw the talisman and walk out of the shadow. The golden armor talisman transforms into vitality and reintegrates into the talisman paper. His face turned white again. This talisman weapon is really not something that ordinary people can use. With just one strike, it only takes one breath to show its form. It has already made Lu Jing feel like his body has been hollowed out, weak and unstable. It really takes 10 breaths, and he probably needs to sleep for 10 days and a half months to recover. Unfortunately, there was a crack on the talisman paper, which made Lu Jing feel heartbroken. The puppet talisman cannot be used indefinitely. Each talisman can be summoned up to 2 times, and after that, the talisman paper will shatter and become unusable. Who are you? Shui Yang's face turned pale and he was still in shock. He thought this talisman was summoned by Jian Shi or Luo Feng, but he didn't expect it to be a strange young man. When I saw the two characters, Xing, on his grey Taoist robe, I suddenly realized that this should be the newly received true disciple of fourth martial uncle. Lu Jing has met senior brother. Lu Jing's expression was indifferent as he clasped his fists and saluted. Exemption, exemption. Shuiliang also knew that he had done something wrong. Based on the situation just now, if he didn't suddenly jump out, the thief would definitely not be able to escape the heavy fist of the talisman. But the dignity of the eldest disciple cannot be compromised. He coughed and pretended that nothing had happened. Dong Ting. Fan Xian rushed over from the inner courtyard, followed by a group of skilled soldiers who stayed behind to guard the capital. The commotion was so loud that everyone was startled. Fan Xian saw his pale face and immediately flashed over to him. He took out a Yuan pill and fed it into his mouth, saying with concern, "How do you feel?" "Thank you very much, master." Lu Jing swallowed the pill into his stomach, refined his skills, and said calmly, "I'm fine now. Master brother came at the right time. If it weren't for him jumping in to help, the disciple would have eliminated the assassin." Fan Xian. You. Shuiliang didn't expect him to dare to report and almost vomited blood in anger. "All right." Fan Xian comforted and said, "That assassin hit me with a palm, his internal organs were all cracked." Later, he forcefully used his martial arts to activate the exotic treasure and use his lightness skills. His injuries were bound to worsen, and he had already damaged his foundation. "Don't worry. This time he dealt a heavy blow to the bandits, thanks to you. When I report back to the main altar, I will ask your master for a reward." Lu Jing's face slightly improved and he said, "Thank you, master." Fan Xian said, "Can you see that person's face clearly?" Shuiliang's eyes dodged and he remained silent. He didn't even see his face clearly before being caught. Lu Jing broke off a branch and wrote and painted on the ground. He used to learn sketching before, but now he remembers it vividly. Portraiting is not difficult for him, and he quickly outlines the assassin's facial features, which are only 6 parts similar in shape but 8 parts similar in spirit. Indeed, it's him. Fan Xian recognized it at a glance, frowned, looked at the face, and said word by word, "Governor of Bajong, son of Pang Shi, Pang Yi." Pang Shi. Shuiliang was taken aback and said, "Is he the son of Pang Shi? The young master of Fenglei Mountain Villa in Brazilian County?" "That's right." Fan Xian said coldly, "Thieves never die." Originally, after Zhang Lu succeeded as the head of the Heavenly Master Taoism, he once collaborated with Lu Yan, the governor of Yizhou, to preach in Yizhou. As a condition of exchange, Zhang Lu concurrently led the Yi Sima to assist Lu Yan in resisting foreign invasion. In the second year of the Chuping era, Zhang Lu and other generals Zhang Xiu joined forces and led troops to attack Su Gu, the governor of Hanzhong. After Zhang Xiu killed Su Gu, Zhang Lu killed Zhang Xiu again, took his troops, and cut off the Xiegu road. At the instruction of Lu Yan, he killed the imperial envoy, occupied Hanzhong, and guarded the Yizhou gate on behalf of Lu Yan, helping him complete the separatist regime. After this battle, Zhang Lu also received full support from Lu Yan and successfully established the Temple of Heavenly Master Dao at Moshenling in Hanzhong. Afterwards, the Heavenly Master Dao preached to Yizhou without any obstacles. But after Lu Yan's death, his son Lu Zhang succeeded him. Lu Zhang was cowardly and suspicious, and Zhang Lu had no regard for him at all. When his master was weak and his servant was strong, Lu Zhang believed the slander of his daughter-in-law family, Pang Shi, and suspected that Zhang Lu had a separatist heart. In a fit of anger, he arrested Zhang Lu's mother, first wife, and younger brother, Zhang Gui, and forced Zhang Lu back to Chengdu. Pang Shi took the opportunity to ask the three of them about the supreme practice of the Heavenly Master Dao, the Five Thunder Heavenly Heart technique. 3 people died as a result, and Zhang Lu completely turned against Lu Zhang. Pang Xi ultimately only obtained half of his martial arts skills, and based on this, he created the masterpiece, Thunder Runner, and established the Wind and Thunder Mountain Villa. For the other half, Pang Xi appointed himself as the governor of Brazil, stationed in Hanzhong, and fought against Zhang Lu several times, but unfortunately his abilities were not strong enough, and he suffered consecutive defeats. In the past 2 years, the direction in Brazil has been much more stable. I thought it was because Pang Xi was honest, but I didn't expect it to be because he used assassination methods. After Fan Xian finished speaking, everyone understood. The death of Lu Yong was the result of Pang Yi secretly using the enchanting goo to extract the remaining half of the Five Thunder Heavenly Heart technique from his mouth. However, it was not successful, so he then targeted Fan Xian again. Indeed, a thief's heart never dies. Lu Jing narrowed his eyes and thought to himself that this person must not be kept. He must take advantage of his illness and take his life as soon as possible. He is also a true disciple of the Heavenly Master Dao and has already fallen out with Pang Yi. He doesn't want to be targeted by any Wind and Thunder Villa. Nowadays, the best solution is to eradicate the root cause. Fan Xian said, Ziming, immediately lead the ghost soldiers to search for Pang Ye's whereabouts and be careful of his followers. If you can kill this thief, it will be a great achievement for you. Shui Liang clasped his fists and bowed, yes. He glanced at Lu Jing, wanting to get angry but being unreasonable, let out a cold snort, waved his hand, and rushed out of the courtyard with the ghost soldiers. Lu Jing didn't bother to pay attention to him at all. Time, what he is most lacking now is time. As long as there is enough time to grow and increase his weight, he will not hesitate to ask Shui Liang to sacrifice his life for capturing the assassin in such a situation again. Fan Xian saw that he had a grudge in his heart. The duck he received flew away, and no one else could have lost their temper. He comforted him, saying, Dongting, planning depends on people, success depends on heaven. Shui Liang's good intentions lead to bad things, but Pang Ye's fate should not be cut off. Don't take it to heart. Lu Jing took a deep breath and said, I understand. Fan Xian nodded and said, it's good if you understand. I wanted you to hide March, but after today, I'm afraid you won't be able to hide it either. The puppet talisman must have true qi to be used. Lu Jing can use it, which has already explained the problem. It's only been 4 days now. Although it may not have been 3 times to refine and shock the qi, it is still rare in the world, and the name of genius cannot escape. Lu Jing doesn't care about this. After today, he decided to move next door to Fan Xian for cultivation. When will he be able to protect himself and when will he move back? And Fan Xian looked at Lu Jing and casually said, how did you know that Pang Yi in this direction is real? His clone is enough to deceive even me. But you can stay here and hit with just 1 strike. Fan Xian's expression was profound. Lu Jing remained calm and said, I was also fooled. I'm not willing to let him leave like this. Coincidentally, a clone came to my side and wanted to give it a try. It's just a blind cat meeting a dead mouse. Blind cat meets dead mouse. Is it really such a coincidence? Fan Xian was skeptical, and his intuition told him that this matter wouldn't be so simple. However, Fan Xian shook his head and chuckled lightly, no longer delving deeper. He skipped the topic and advised, Pang Yi is the son of Pang Xi and the young master of Fenglei Mountain Villa. There are many capable people under his command, and it is very likely that some of his followers are hiding in Mian County. You must be careful in your future actions. Lu Jing bowed and said, I will strictly follow the teachings of my master. Fan Xian nodded and returned to the quiet room to write down what had happened here and report it to the main altar. Lu Jingze walked to the wall and picked up the booklet that had fallen from Pang Ye's body. On the cover, he saw 5 big characters written. Dragon flying and phoenix dancing. Eternal transformation and transformation chapter. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Gambling house. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Chapter 9. Gambling House. Pang Yi rushed out of the stronghold and dared not stop for a moment. He fought his way to the south of the city with his severely injured body and headed straight for the Golden Hook gambling house. Finally, he fell into the dry firewood pile at the back door and passed out completely. The staff of the gambling house had been waiting at the door to receive him. When they saw the young master fall covered in blood, they were shocked and quickly secretly transferred him to the underground secret room. Not long after, the butcher of the Golden Hook gambling house ran down with a thud. He was fat and had a big belly, and every step shook the steps of the secret room. It is worth noting that there is a bone-chopping knife horizontally behind his waist, which is bright and cold, with a strong killing intent. That knife is called Jiegu, ranking lower and higher. It is a 7th-grade rare treasure and is notorious in Mian County. How's the young master doing? Tu Dazhuang descended the stairs and walked quickly to the bedside. With a concerned expression on his face, he asked a skilled subordinate, "How come the injury is like this? Even the protective armor is shattered. Not just treasure armor." The subordinate had a mustache with pointed lips and monkey cheeks, and his face was not very good. However, his medical skills were good. After cutting the pulse, he said solemnly, "The young master's 5 organs and 6 viscera have been shattered by the thunderous force, and his meridians have all been broken." Then he forced his luck and added more damage, resulting in a drop in his realm and a significant decrease in his martial arts. If he hadn't taken the life-saving pill, he would have. The subordinate shook his head and said, "The only one in Mian County who can harm him like this is Fan Xian. But even if Fan Xian, wearing a treasure armor, inflicts such a heavy blow on him, it may be related to the young master's temporary lack of investigation." Tu Dazhuang was taken aback and said, "Do you mean that the young master's disguise technique has been seen through? Did Fan Xian take the initiative?" Without waiting for an answer from his underling, Tu Dazhuang shouted, "That's impossible. The changing of the shape of the embryo is an extraterrestrial secret skill. The young master has already practiced the 3rd level of bone changing, and even the face and bones can imitate the same. Even if Fan Xian's eyes can see through the flesh and blood, he can't see through the bones and muscles." But his subordinate hesitated as he looked at Pang Yi on the bed, wondering, if it weren't for being caught, then it would only be a trap. Fan Xian should have been prepared early on. He recognized the young master using other methods, and then suddenly took action. The young master was caught off guard, so this rice thief is indeed not easy. Tu Dazhuang gritted his teeth and cursed loudly, "I thought he was a soft persimmon, but I didn't expect him to be so cunning. Quickly, spread the word to Fenglei Mountain Villa. The young master has been severely injured, and they will definitely search the entire county. We need to send someone to pick him up as soon as possible. Besides, gang. On." A sturdy subordinate behind him stepped forward. Tu Dazhuang grabbed Pang Ye's outer garment and threw it to him, saying, "Tear up this bloody garment and have people spread it around. They will definitely release dogs. It's too late to clean it all up, mix up the water first." Gang said, "Yes." Tu Dazhuang added, "Remember to hide in a mansion, ordinary people can't stop ghosts and soldiers." Gang clenched his fists and said, "Understood, shopkeeper, rest assured." He rushed out in a hurry. Tu Dazhuang said, "And Red Monkey, go and invite Gui Dao Lu immediately. Just say that I agree to his request, only one. Come to the gambling house immediately." The Red Monkey was the doctor's servant by the bedside. Upon hearing this, he was taken aback and said, "Boss, the price of Ghost Knife Lu is really not cheap." "It's okay." Tu Dazhuang waved his hand and said, "Please go immediately, I have an ominous feeling." "Yes." The Red Monkey also ran out. "Water." At this moment, Pang Yi on the bed murmured. Tu Dazhuang immediately picked up the teapot on the table and poured a bowl of tea, respectfully serving it to Pang Yi to drink. His expression was incredibly loyal, but his eyes secretly glanced towards Pang Ye's chest, searching for the extraterrestrial secret book Embryo Transformation Alien chapter, that he had hidden close to him. He has witnessed with his own eyes how terrifying the young master's disguise technique is. It does not require any materials and directly uses internal power to change flesh and bones, fundamentally transforming into another person. This Embryo Transformation and Transformation chapter combines the techniques of bone reduction, body enhancement, facial contouring, and onomatopoeia, and can even transform into children, strong men, men into women, and women into men. It is extremely eerie. Tu Dazhuang's eyes were already hot. The young master is currently unconscious. I borrowed a copy, so there shouldn't be any problem. However, when he looked over with great anticipation, he found that Pang Ye's arms were empty. The book, The Abyssal Transformation, had been lost. Tu Dazhuang's heart trembled with excitement, his pupils contracting violently. Not good. Something's wrong. Mian County Administration. Shuoyang rushed out with a group of ghostly soldiers and named disciples, searching for Pang Yi along the bloodstains. Luo Feng also helped with his own mastiff dog, leaving only Fan Xian, Lu Jing, and Jian Shi to stay in the office. It was dinner time, and the three of them were dining in the quiet room. Jian Shi had just settled down a refugee and returned from outside the city. When he heard about the assassination, he was startled and thought that fourth senior uncle would also end up like a master. He quickly ran to the governance center, but when he returned and saw the intact senior uncle and the complete process of understanding, he was stunned. Wait a moment. At the dinner table, Jian Shi pressed his hand on his temple, feeling a bit confused. It took him a long time to sort out the cause and effect, and then looked at Lu Jing incredulously, saying, Dongting, you said to summon talisman soldiers to block the way. You can summon talisman soldiers now. Have you developed true qi? It's only been a few days now. At best, it's less than 5 days. How could it be? Jian Shi had a ghostly expression on his face. Lu Jing sat under Fan Xian's head, holding a bowl and eating rice in his mouth. He casually said, blessings come to the soul, it's just a coincidence. No. Jian Shi suddenly woke up and patted the table, saying, you and your senior uncle designed a seduction plan to cook and deliver food for 4 consecutive days. Although this plan is good, it is extremely dangerous. It is impossible to guarantee that Pang Yi will not kill people and deliver food on your behalf. Senior uncle will definitely not let you go into danger to lure him out. He can agree, it must be because you have already saved your life. Puppet talisman was not given these 2 days. You got it 4 days ago, right? You had already developed true qi on the day you entered, right? This answer is too shocking. The more Jian Shi spoke, the more shocked he became, and the louder his voice became. Fortunately, Fan Xian had mobilized his energy beforehand to seal the space and isolate his voice. Otherwise, if he had finished shouting these 2 voices, the entire governance would have known. Fan Xian was slightly surprised. Lu Jing raised his eyebrows and smiled, second senior brother is much stronger than first senior brother. Fan Xian was helpless. This kid was still holding grudges and intentionally or unintentionally belittling Shuoyang. Jian Shi was stunned for a moment and couldn't help but laugh and cry, saying, you don't need to wear a high hat. I never expected that. There is such a talent in this world, no wonder we can make an exception for senior uncle. Fan Xian said, this matter needs to be kept confidential. How long can it be delayed? Jian Shi nodded and said, Master, don't worry, I understand. To the outside world, I only say that Dongting has a foundation long ago. Lu Jing clenched his fists and said, thank you, second senior brother. Jian Shi waved his hand and curiously said, so, senior uncle, how did you know that person was fake? Fan Xian smiled and said, this is also Dongting's devilish idea. Pang Yi, like you, didn't know he had developed his true energy before, so we agreed that every time he brought food and prepared dishes, he would use the golden light mantra to gather his true energy at his fingertips and indicate his identity. You also know that the internal power of the golden light mantra is different from that of other sections. When it condenses, it will emit a faint golden light. Pang Yi was unaware of the situation, so of course he couldn't do it. Even if he knew, he couldn't control the brightness of the golden light well, so. Jian Shi was deeply impressed and said to Lu Jing, "Junior brother, you are incredibly intelligent." Pang Yi probably still doesn't know why he was exposed. It's a pity, I still let him run away. Lu Jing shook his head and sighed, it's all in vain. Jian Shi said, no, that person surnamed Pang was first severely injured by his martial uncle's palm thunder, and all 5 internal parts were cut off. He was also heavily attacked by your talisman weapon, with additional damage and an inevitable decline. It would be much easier to catch him again. Not necessarily. Lu Jing said solemnly, the origin of his enchanting goo is not yet clear. It is highly likely that it is related to the southern barbarians. The Wind and Thunder Villa may have already allied with the southern barbarians, which is not good news for us. In addition, the eldest senior brother has been out for about 2/4 of an hour and has not returned yet. Pang Ye's oil has run out of light. If it were only him, regardless of whether the capture is successful or not, there should be results to be transmitted back. However, if he cannot even smell or find the dog, it means someone helped him with the aftermath. Upon hearing this, Jian Shi also understood and his face changed slightly. Do you mean he has a helper? And there are quite a few people. Not necessarily from Fenglai Villa. Lu Jing sneered and said, Pang Shi killed 3 of Shijun's close relatives. Over the years, Shijun has also killed many disciples of Fenglai Mountain Villa. The 2 of them have a deep blood feud, so how could he not bury a nail in Hanzhong? This group of people can kill San Shibua, and their plan is not a day. Their ability to come in quietly has been proven to be internal divine powers and external ghosts. Jian Shi was furious and said, eating inside and climbing outside is unreasonable. Lu Jingdao said, the hustle and bustle of the world are all for profit. As long as there are enough chips, betrayal is not surprising. If it weren't for Master Brother's clean foundation, his performance today would be more like an inner ghost than an inner ghost. Fan Xian. Jian Shi. Fan Xian and Jian Shi exchanged a glance, a bit funny but also a bit helpless. This resentment is really deep. I have already cursed twice during my meal. If anyone makes him unhappy, it's really unlucky. Cough. Fan Xian coughed lightly and said, if it's true as Dongting said, the arrest may not go smoothly. You must be extra careful when you go out. Jian Shi said, Master, don't worry, I will pay attention. Lu Jingdao said, Master, don't worry, I won't go out. Not to mention the insecurity outside, there is nothing interesting, even if there is, it is not as attractive as the newly acquired embryo transformation and transformation. At the thought of Pang Ye's difficult to distinguish true and false disguise technique, Lu Jing's heart was filled with excitement. It was a cunning weapon. As long as it is practiced, it is impossible to prevent it, and even after killing someone, it can be replaced. The dove occupies the magpie's nest, inheriting everything is easier than struggling. Pang Yi is so foolish that he only uses this technique for assassination. Lu Jing ate with a big mouth, and a cold light flashed through his eyes. Open his eyes wide and see clearly. I'll teach you how to use it. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Homophonic Insects. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 Homophonic Insects. As expected by Lu Jing, the search was in a difficult situation from the beginning. When chasing towards the south of the city, several mastiffs smelled the same bloody smell in multiple locations and barked incessantly for a moment. Shui Liang and Luo Feng felt a surge of dizziness. These positions are not easy. The southern part of Mian County is adjacent to the capital of Hanzhong County, Nanjing, which is the heart of the entire Hanzhong region. It has a large population and developed commerce. Mian County borders Nanjing and enjoys the glory of Nanjing. There are many gold-selling caves in the southern border area of the city, such as gambling houses, brothels, and music houses. Many big families in Mianxian are dealing with industries here, and various forces are intertwined, pulling one hand to move the whole body, without any carelessness. The situation was complicated, and the two of them dared not specialize. They quickly ordered someone to report to Fan Xian and ask him for advice. When there is a sacrificial offering, they have the confidence to hunt down and can break through the door more forcefully. When the news came back, the three of them had just finished their meal. Lu Jing had already taken all his bedding to the study next to Fan Xuanjing's room and made up his mind that even if he was laying a floor, he would still ensure his safety. Fan Xian couldn't help but laugh and cry, afraid that he would sleep uncomfortable. He even asked the craftsman in the office to make another makeshift wooden bed. Just as he finished cleaning up, a ghost soldier rushed into the backyard of the capital and knelt down on one knee, saying, "Report. Lord Jijiu, there is an important situation reported by Shui Lingshi." Fan Xian said, "Speak up." The ghost soldier quickly said, "We followed the bloodstains all the way to Green Willow Street in the south of the city. Afterwards, the mastiff dog dispersed and found suspicious places everywhere. Jinfeng Tower, Qingzhou Tea House, Miaoyin Fang, and Baoqi Pavilion. All of which were local property of wealthy families. Shui Lingshi ordered me to report back and asked Lord Jijiu to search. Or not." The ghost soldier lowered his head. Fan Xian pondered as he looked at Lu Jing and said, "Dongting guessed correctly. Indeed, there was someone who dealt with the aftermath, so he set up a suspicious formation." Jian Shi frowned and said, "These four places are not easy to search for. Jinfeng Tower belongs to Li Zhuang, Qingzhou Tea House has members of the local aristocratic Yang family, who are also related to the brothers Yang Bai and Yang Song, the grand sacrificial wine under the master's seat, and are not easy to move. The master of Miaoyin Fang has some connections with the wife and clan of his successor, Zhang Lu's brother, Zhang Wei. Baoqi Pavilion was opened by a merchant from another city who moved to Mian County 10 years ago. With abundant wealth and numerous servants, it is still relatively easy to deal with. Do you want to pick and pinch persimmons soft? It's not shabby. If you want to shelve Jianxi, first investigate this Baoqi Pavilion. It's also strange." Lu Jing looked at the map of Mian County on Fan Xian's table and pointed to Green Willow Street with a smile, saying, "These four places are centered around this street, with the intersection of the north and south. The central point is at this Golden Hook gambling house. As the only leading industry of the same scale as the other four, the surrounding large merchants are all busy, but it's fine. Who set up this doubt? Are you kidding?" Lu Jing couldn't help but burst out laughing. Fan Xian and Jian Shi also approached and looked down. It was really amazing. Fan Xian shook his head and chuckled. Jian Shi hesitated for a moment and understood, "What's this?" They also have an insider. Being able to reach out to the four companies in such a short amount of time would definitely not be a small scale. In the same area, other merchants of the same scale have problems, and this gambling house is fine. This is actually the biggest problem. Fan Xian shook his head and said, "Not necessarily. I have some impression that the owner of the Golden Hook gambling house is called Tu Dazhuang. He is a local and comes from an ordinary family. He can make this gambling house prosperous thanks to his own courage and a group of brothers. There is indeed a problem with this mystery, but the people who set it up probably cannot solve it." As Xiaoqing said, if the Golden Hook gambling house is also suspicious, searching for it will only be earlier than the Baoqi Pavilion. To put it bluntly, my mind is still not sharp. Lu Jingdao said, scattering can indeed attract attention, but scattering too much is not enough. But thanks to him, this time it's even simpler. Those doubts don't need to be searched at all, just search for this one that makes things worse. 9 out of 10, Pang Yi is hiding in the Golden Hook gambling house. Fan Xian nodded and said, Shaoqing, go ahead and assist Ziming and Deng. There is only 1-2 Dazhuang in the Golden Hook gambling house, and you 10 ghosts and soldiers can fight together. That's enough. Jian Shi said, yes. Lu Jing added, second senior brother, don't go directly. It's easy to scare the grass and the snake, and don't force yourself to break through. Places like gambling houses must have hidden ways and dark places, and even dogs may not be able to find them. It's best to find someone who knows the mechanism together, and then stop. Jianxi can see that this kid has a lot of tricks, so don't bother. Master, are your pairs of homophonic insects still alive? Jianxi said, why don't you ask Dong Ting to help listen? I see he has an idea. Homophonic insect. Lu Jingqi said, what, homophonic insect? Fan Xian said, your sister Law gave you a few 8th grade insects, which are kept to relieve stress. She loves to keep these things in the door. These insects can transmit sounds through her heart. Although they are not as convenient as secret techniques like rubbing sound into lines and transmitting sound into secrets, the transmission distance is farther and more concealed, making it difficult to detect. Let me take a look, and those insects are kept in the garden by me. Fan Xian walked out quickly. Lu Jing whispered, Shigu is. Jianxi also lowered his voice and said, Shijun's younger sister, ranked 5th in the generation of Shishu, is Zhang Yulan, the holy sister of the heavenly master Dao. Oh, Lu Jing suddenly said, so she specifically sent her master this hidden, imperceptible, and long-distance communication bug. Did she want to? Hey. Jianxi's eyes lit up and he said, it seems like there's a bit of this meaning. But it seems that senior uncle didn't understand and actually kept it in the garden. After speaking, the two of them looked at each other and shook their heads, sighing, with a feeling of hatred that iron is not steel. What are you talking about? Fan Xian walked back with a stern face, actually hearing that these two guys dared to choreograph him. But now that the matter was important, I pretended not to hear it. With a cough, I got back to the main topic and said, I've found a pair. You guys should give it a try. He spread out his hand and lay a pair of small insects like bees in his palm, but they were smaller in size and had colorful wings, which was really beautiful. Jianxi knew the usage of this small insect and immediately bit through his fingertips, using fresh blood to dot one of its backs. The blood quickly seeped into the insect's body, and the color of its wings changed from colorful to dark red. Then, Jianxi placed the small insect by his ear, and its wings spread open and flew into his ear. Lu Jing followed the law. When another little bug flew into his ear, he truly felt as if his ear strength had increased. The sound from Jianxi's side is transmitted through the homophonic insect junior brother, can you hear me? Yes, it feels very novel. I'll set off then. Jianxi finally nodded to Fan Xian and the other two, turned around and rushed out quickly, running towards the south of the city along with the ghost soldiers who reported the news. The two of them had extremely fast lightness skills, and Lu Jing could even hear the sound of wind breaking on Jianxi's side due to the high speed running. Lu Jing sighed in awe. This world is really mysterious, there are actually such creatures. It seems that in the 200 years since the arrival of the Eye of Heaven, the world has long been unrecognizable. The rush time is very boring. Lu Jingso sat down on the futon, flipping through the Eternal Transformation chapter, while paying attention to the movements on the other side of Jianxi. Fan Xian saw his effortless and focused demeanor, which was already understandable. He also sat on the futon and closed his eyes. Jianxi moves quickly, flying eaves and walls all the way at lightning speed. When they arrived, Shuelyang and Luo Feng, along with several ghostly soldiers and over 30 named disciples, were guarding both ends of Green Willow Street, rushing back and forth. Shuiliang just lost face at Fan Xian's place. He was eager to make a name for himself and was eager to save face. If it weren't for these few companies being really not easy, he would have had Fan Xian's backing. He had already brought people in now. What did senior uncle say? As soon as Jianxi appeared, Shuiliang hurried over and said, "Shouldn't we first search for the Baoqi pavilion?" Jianxi shook his head and remembered Lu Jing's advice. He first looked at the few ghostly soldiers and pointed at one of them, a thin young man with a mechanism hand. He said, "Brother Mingyi, please come with me." Then he told Shuiliang all his speculations. He already knew that Shuiliang had a disagreement with Lu Jing, and Lu Jing couldn't help but look down on Shuiliang. Shuiliang, relying on his elder brother, probably didn't like Lu Jing taking down the stage, so he didn't directly say it was Lu Jing's idea, but temporarily pushed it onto Fan Xian. "Don't worry about any conflicts, let's work together to complete the task first." Jianxi listened to the words in his ear and said, "Thank you, senior brother. Take half of the people to make a posture of searching for Baoqi Pavilion. I will surround Jinfeng Tower with the other half. These two places are east and west, with the Golden Hook gambling house sandwiched between them. When you and I are in place, we can attack in both directions and surround the Golden Hook gambling house in groups. So, I apologize for that Pang Ye's difficulty flying." Shuiliang was a bit surprised at first, thinking that it didn't seem like Jianxi's idea, but it did sound feasible, so he didn't delve deeper. After thinking for a moment, Shuiliang said, "Junior brother, the Baoqi Pavilion is behind the gambling house. Why don't we switch sides? I'll take a strong attack. Jianxi feels a bit greasy and crooked. When is it now, still thinking about snatching the top spot? The more I come into contact with Lu Jing, the more annoyed Shuiliang becomes. I don't have any ideas and always disregard the overall situation." Jianxi took a deep breath and smiled, "Senior brother, don't worry. I'll feign an attack with half of the people. If Brother Mingyi disrupts the mechanism and secret passage, then Tu Dazhuang will only become more and more nervous. He is very likely to cause chaos and secretly lead Pang Yi out through the back door. With senior brother guarding here, you can just wait for him." "Okay." Shuiliang immediately said, "Then feint and I'll guard the back door." "That's it." Jianxi immediately pointed out half of the people, brought the dog, and headed straight for Yunshu Pavilion. Shuiliang looked at his back with the remaining people, pondering, "There's something wrong with Jian Shaoqin today. Forget it, let's go and surround the Baoqi Pavilion." End of this chapter.